that I am nervous as fuck.
Oh, right, okay. No, you're fine, son.
Oh god.
You're
Bitch
right.
cat.
Can I?
You're fine.
Okay, I want to hide now.
Okay, this is like because you've probably never watched one of these before because they're like 5 hours long. This is kind of what happens. We start talking. At some point, the podcast starts. Then about 30 minutes of teaching Raiz basic game mechanics. Then we talk about like GGG. Then we circle jerk a bit. And then we circle jerk for like 3 more hours. And then Ziz says, I need to go. I've got a dinner reservation at 5 p.m. because I'm a fucking witch. Who eats dinner at 5 p.m. though? Like, real talk.
I want to go to bed early.
Sure. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. Fine.
Guys already
Isn't
changing
that like
your
really
schedule?
good for you to eat dinner early as well?
Yeah, that's why I do it. I'm healthy.
I mean, I don't think I'd ever describe you as healthy. Like, things like, how would I describe Ziz? I don't think healthy would ever be anywhere in like the top 50 things.
Don't you have like a personal trainer now and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
And
He's
I
more
go to the
healthy than you.
hospital nearly every time before I leave. I go to the hospital. to get a full
I go to the
checkup.
hospital.
They tell me I'm all sorts of fucked up, but I still
No,
do
they
it.
don't.
When have you had a personal trainer, Tarke? Huh?
I've had physiotherapy on and off for multiple years, actually.
No, that doesn't
That's just
count.
witchcraft.
That just means that you're fucked up, see? Ziz doesn't have problems and you have like Crohn's and shit, so who's the one who's unhealthy, huh?
Actually,
About
fun.
that
Wait,
one.
wait. No, this is interesting. Okay, so if you were hate criming me right now, but you were hate criming me on my stream, would I get banned?
Whoa. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
an individual basis.
No, like the first time I was on someone else's podcast, it was like Ziggy's. I was just sitting there laughing, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh no, nothing." But in my head, I was like, "I could whip out my dick right now and get everybody banned."
It's
would
so
think?
good. Jesus Christ, dude. Before I'd instantly realize that that's a joke, but now when you say hate crime, I spill my water. Dear Lord.
Feels good, man. Alright, okay, once you're ready, we'll start up the episode. Are you just gonna go the wet lap for the whole thing, or are you alright?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I've always got a wet lap, if you know what I'm saying. Sorry.
Hey guys,
Oh,
Tarke
yeah.
here, and this is going to be Baeclast number 22, joined by some people who are good at the game, and some people who are slightly less good at the game. And yeah, we'll be going through the Ignite changes and everything. So first off, Waggle, what have you been up to? And yeah.
Other than ripping my one expensive character 2 days after I geared him out, and quitting the league for the most part, you know, just been hanging out a bit.
I think that's everybody, right? Everybody's just kind of hanging out for like a while now.
Pretty much. It's just like, how much time can I kill before Flashback starts? Should I start another character? Does that stare at Path of Building for 3 days and pretend that you're preparing?
Whoa, Darky, that's not my
Pretending?
stream. Hello? We practice, man. Come on.
Exactly. 12 hours a day.
Wait, what have you been doing, Darky? Because you said you're gonna be late to the race, or?
Yeah, so at the start of the league, I was like, okay, at some point I need to go over to Ireland to visit Grill. When's a good time for me to just like take 3 days out? I probably don't want to do it during the start, because that's when stuff's important. If I do like 3 days in the last month, right, so it has to be safe, right? So I leave on the 4th, the race starts on the fucking 5th. I get back on the 9th of the 6th. So yeah, I'm going to be starting on the morning of the 7th in SSF. And I've got the very smart strategy that I could be safe and just do like GC mines into KB mines, which is what I did in the last one. Or I can YOLO SSF Elementalist and just get an Impulsor and Poet's Pen drop, and then I win. Like, if I get it, I win, right? And if I don't get it, then I can just blame Grill, because it's like, well, I wasn't here for the start. So that seems like the smartest way of, doing it. I don't know.
And I mean, if you were to try to chance the impulses, you won't get the Turkish skin either way, so
Exactly.
probably a positive. You
Exactly.
can get that very fast.
Yeah.
Alright. I see where you're coming from. Yeah, for me, it's been like, I guess I've been playing like a bunch of bow builds, and now I'm playing. I can't get away from Deadeye. Everything I play is Deadeye, and now I'm playing like Magma Orb Deadeye, which is basically like the exact same tree for EK, but then I'm gonna do like Magma Orb and Ball Lightning. Fuck it. So it's been getting weird, but yeah, I think everybody's looking forward to the race at this point.
How good actually is Ball Lightning? Because since they made the new MTX, I really want to play it, but then I'm just like, yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's good if you can dish out enough damage and you've got like more than enough sources anyway, even if you're not Inquisitor. But I don't know. I mean, I've only been doing the Magma Orb thing. It's just because apparently Ball Lightning can chain, which is weird because it's still not a projectile, but it is because you can't scale it with projectile damage, right? I don't think.
No, but it's
Area damage doesn't work.
it's affected by projectile modifiers though, and every single skill which gets affected by projectile modifiers does gain damage from the Deadeye node because it's given one chain, even if it can't. So like Molten Strike, for example, you can't chain with Molten Strike, but it always gets the more damage from Deadeye because it always has
Pretty
like a remaining chain like in the bank. So yeah.
That's the point, right? Because it's the same thing with. Well, did you say Magma Orb? Because I was doing the thing because of Magma Orb and Gloomfang, and I get like 7 chains, so it's like 70% multiplier. And apparently the same thing applies to Ball Lightning because the little zappy things. They do the
Yeah,
same
like
thing.
Ball
They
Lightning,
can
Molten
chain.
Strike, even anything which can like scale with projectile, like Rain of Arrows, anything which is like projectile based, it always has one remaining chain. Mark made a post about it on the Reddit a while ago. You look really confused.
Well, I was gonna say, doesn't Ball Lightning not work with chain at all because it always pierces, which takes priority?
No. The main projectile doesn't work, but
Right.
the little things are basically arc. The little things it shoots out. Yeah, apparently. I don't know. I mean, I haven't tried it, but that's what the wiki says. So hey, the
It's-
Oh,
wiki's never.
If you
never been
okay,
wrong
if you
before.
go back to like the Rain of Arrows example,
gonna
because
test
Rain
it
of
right
Arrows
now.
is just an AoE, right? If you blink chain to Rain of Arrows, it doesn't start like chaining. It's just always an AoE. But because it has something which always takes priority, it always still has that one remaining chain. So therefore it does the damage. So in the
Right.
case of something which always pierces, it always pierces, but it still has one chain on the back end, so it always has that more damage from Deadeye.
Makes sense.
And
But
you
yeah.
can Gloomfang it up too, which is OP. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. If it like, if anything, I'm not worried about single target with Magma Orb, and if anything, I'm kind of not worried about single target with Ball Lightning, especially with the recent pop-ups of all the Ball Lightning trappers and whatnot, and everybody's just reducing projectile to like nothing, and it pops every 0.2 second. I don't know. So far, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna keep at it, I guess.
2 quick things. If you want to make like ridiculously slow Ball Lightnings, have a weapon swap. Bow, either use Reach of the Council, because that's got reduced proj speed with Crackhead Quiver, or get a Porcupine 6 link and then craft this be +2 lightning gems with the essence with Crackhead. And the reason why Magma Orb is like so ridiculous is you just pre-chain it into bosses and then it's just like dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like dumb as hell. But
I mean,
what have
I'm
you been
gonna
up to,
be,
Shinrha?
like- Yeah.
Hmm?
Go Shinrha.
I've been up to Pathfinder Witch's Fire pretty much for a month now and dying to Burning Ground. So, yeah.
How did you die to Burning Ground? Were you-
I was doing blood attack crafting and the UI hit my, what is it? HP lobe. And then my HP went down because I'm DJing for Witch's Fire and there was Burning Ground below me. And yeah, so I died.
Wait,
Burning
So
Ground.
you died before you could regen when the RF proc?
No, the thing is, I had my Witch's Fire up, then I'm a Flask up, and then I'm degenning. And on top of that, I had a high level degen from some fire doggos below me.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that killed me.
I mean, that's trying hard. But you were looking at your screen, right?
Where you can
Yes,
see the
but the
HP logo.
problem, yeah, HP logo was completely hidden by UI. Only like the last like 10% were visible.
And like most of his screen.
I saw that thing on Reddit, and that was one of those really funny things where you were like, bug or something, UI covers up HP globe. Then like 90% of the comments are just calling you an absolute idiot, and I'm like, well, I can't like disagree with them, but at the same time, it's kind of dumb that it covers up your health. That was like a really feels bad man rip though, but you couldn't see like anything, to be fair.
I mean, the rope is pretty dumb, but at the same time, like, if you look at your screen and don't look directly at your HP slope, you can still see it going down. But if you don't see that HP slope, then you're just dead.
Yeah,
So,
it's pretty bad design.
Like, it's one of those things where any one of us in this call, well, maybe not Waggle, because he's, like, good at the game, but, like, anyone but Waggle in this call would have died to that, like, 100%. Like, the typical, like, was reading chat, died to bleed on Righteous Fire, you know. So...
Havoc, any comments about that?
I wouldn't have died to that.
You wouldn't have died to that?
I'm a professional Path of Exile player.
Okay.
Okay, and what do professional Path of Exile players do before a flashback race?
We practice 12 to 15 hours every single day before the race. Because we're gonna win.
Uh-oh.
But what if we beat you to maps again without practicing?
Yeah, it's just I have to usually put a bunch of people on my back, so it goes a bit slower. But in maps, I'll pass you every single time, so it's okay. But yeah, other than practicing, pardon?
That is pretty tricky because Waggle and Hellman and whatnot, they can always be like, oh, we totally beat them, but they're like 4 Sunder players and you guys are like Glacial Cascade Mines. That's just
Yeah,
like
that too, and
so.
like people who've been racing for 5 years, and I take people who have been racing for 3 days and make them Path of Exile pros in those 3 days. So that's all I'm gonna say. You give them 5 years, they would be lapping Hellman and Waggle and company.
I mean, Waggle's the only one playing, right? Like, actually playing? Like, when was the last time Hellman had a level 90 character?
I think Hellman died at level 90 like 3 times this league.
Okay.
He's been going for it.
91 then. Take it back. But you were saying something, Havoc?
I was just saying, other than just practicing for races and watching the NBA playoffs, and that's basically it.
It's an Overwatch thing.
Is that Overwatch thing? No. NBA is not Overwatch.
So the Fortnite thing. The ninja stuff?
Oh my god.
Okay. Sorry, we're European. We don't really...
So...
It's basketball.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah, baseball. But,
Yes,
so who's
baseball.
like, who's in your racing team then, Havoc, and who's in Ziza's group? It's just so I have like an idea of who are the cucks to
I have
watch.
no one now.
Wait, you don't even
Yeah,
have like Baz? Like, what?
I like Bazo is still up for playing, but like
I don't like
Nice
it.
Shot. No, that's not it. But like I was gonna play with Nice Shot and Ember, but Ember's going SSF now. So yeah. I have no friends, so we'll see. We'll talk to Havoc after.
Shit,
Yeah,
I know that
I have to
feeling.
find stuff. I hope Ziz does not go SSF because it's just, one less team. There's less competition. And I believe Gucci and Steel might follow Ziz to SSF. And then it's just like, I'm sitting there in
Yeah.
trade league and it's like, what do I do now, So
Wait,
there's
really?
no
Did they
competition.
actually?
Well, Gucci said he's playing SSF if I'm playing SSF.
Oh, really?
I think.
Oh, never mind. I was talking about you guys grouping up and everything. No, it's just, you should absolutely play SSF. Absolutely, dude. It's so much fun over there.
Whoa, okay, as the guy starting SSF 4 days late and still trying to win some shit, can you not go SSF? Like, can you stay in Trade League? It'll be fine. Or
I
can
think
we,
you're
like...
fine, Tarke. All SSF players are pretty slow, in my opinion. You just actually have to play the game and you'll beat all of them.
Whoa, playing the game now.
Obviously.
I can't do that, son. Although, to be fair, though, like, the last race I did, I basically played SSF for the first week because Baz ripped in a trial. Like, the second we got him fully decked out, he's like, full, like, okay, low life Guardian. Aspirant's trial dies to darts. It's like, I guess I'm going back to solo mapping for the next 3 days then. Thanks, Baz.
The problem with Tarke is it takes a break every 12 minutes to make tea.
Hey, look, it works, yeah? If it works, it works. So, that's...
Does it?
I mean, it sort of does.
Are you British, Tarke?
No, actually, I'm Australian. Yeah. The amount of people who ask me if I'm Australian is, like, fucking ridiculous.
I mean,
I mean,
It kind of adds up.
I think it's just because I say cunt a lot, to be honest. I think that's
That
like
would make sense,
90%
yeah.
of it.
Apparently, Gucci said that he didn't say that. But hey, this would be a good opportunity for you to prove yourself, Havoc, I think. Gucci also said the same thing, you know? Gucci forever
Prove
has been
myself?
like,
Question mark.
yeah, dude, it's not 2014 anymore. You kind of have to win something.
We won the
Wait.
last race I played. We won
Yeah.
turmoil.
Yeah, we won turmoil.
Oh, that one race where nobody else participated.
Except most of the teams.
Like,
You didn't.
Did Gucci and Havoc participate? Did Gucci and Steel participate?
Yeah, I think
No?
so.
No, they
I don't
didn't.
know.
They
I guess it
participated in
doesn't
Mayhem.
matter.
Yeah.
I can't even think of the last race where all three teams participated. Like what, Harbinger or something? When I was just like trolling on
It's been a
freezing
while.
post totems in rank 1.
It's
There
been a while.
hasn't really been any race where there's been 3 teams really competing. So I was kind of hoping this would be the first one, but looks like it might just be 2 or maybe 1 again, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
you guys should really do that. Like split up and just have 2 teams, and then there's 3 teams, and that's fine. And who knows? Maybe out of nowhere, Waggle's gonna keep playing. Waggle, do you guys ever have any plans to go for 100, or is it just like win the early race and then just do whatever?
Yeah, pretty much that.
Okay, pretty much the latter.
Especially not this one. I'm gonna be gone after third day.
Right.
Go for a 3-day 100, man. Easy.
Pulling the reverse Tarke on this one.
Well, Havoc did say that you can. I think he said that you
I
can.
honestly think you can do a 3-day 100. Because I feel like so you have people like Waggle and Helmet and stuff who are really good at early game, right? Then you have others like such as Zizaran who are like really good at end game, but there's no one that's like really good at both and like linking them together.
That's
So
true.
Ventro has been doing like some SSF runs. He can get like 93 and a half, like 100% SSF in like 24 hours, right? Just typically higher than what people usually get. So I feel like Waggle and Helmet, if they put some effort in, they could definitely, get like a 3-day 100 just in like underground seas or something.
Oh, you might have said 2-day 100 on your stream. 48
Oh, that's
hours.
you really have to practice and like try hard and pull out all the stats for that, I believe. But 3 days should be a lot easier to achieve.
Does enough currency even exist on the league though to like keep rolling your maps all properly?
I was gonna say it sounds a
2
lot
days.
easier to do on softcore than hardcore.
Definitely easier on softcore, but if you have say four players and some item quantity gear on the whoever's killing the mobs, you can self-sustain sextants.
That's true.
You just have to like play it smart, right? Like let's say you run T11 Cs, you only use 1 white sextant, you farm your yellows and reds. Then once you had a bunch, you'll run waste pool whenever there's a good hour.
Yeah, but I just can't. Like, how would you see the progression, right? Like, what level would you be after 24 hours?
93.
93, right? So then
It's
48
gonna be
hours.
way higher than that.
Way
Like 95.
higher.
Yeah. Okay,
That's
well,
like
Venture can get
1,000.
93 and a half in SSF, right? If everyone is competent and no one's slowing each other down, you should be able to get like 95.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
have-
you
you have
want
Orobots, you have
people
Wanders.
to be competent for more than like an hour a day? That seems like quite a big ask, to be honest. Like you need to have at least 27 tea breaks if you're gonna be racing. So
Yeah,
There's
but-
nothing wrong with breaks. I think breaks are a good thing. They actually make you go faster.
This
then,
race in particular, it'll go a lot quicker just because Harbinger
Exactly.
Raiz and Orbs make map progressions so much faster.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have to limit yourself to like 10s and 11s pretty much? Or would you have somebody else do
You would
like,
perma sustain T11s,
Right.
and yeah, you'd perma sustain T11s. Then eventually you'd have your armory, you have your waste pool and stuff, and you just go into those maps when the hour's good.
okay, well let's flip the schedule since we just talked about the flashback stuff now. Then, so when it comes to like the whole chasing mods thing, are you gonna, if you're playing in the group, are you gonna just have the one unified atlas, or are you gonna split your atlas up between different people so you can
Probably.
jump between more?
Probably split the atlas up. We'll probably have one guy going for the Elder Orb, one person with the really nice T14 plus atlas, and I'll probably be going with a nice shaped atlas, T11 to T15. And then that being said, you might even choose different maps for each tier just to like really, always play whatever's OP that hour.
Yeah, that's what we did in Mayhem, and that like worked really well for us. Even with the 27 tea breaks, we still managed to get the top 10 just because it was like oh, there's something on good this hour, brilliant. And then you had other people who just went for like one strat and then they just got boned for like 4 hours straight. What do you think would be like the main mods to like chase and avoid this time around?
Beyond, chase beyond. And breach early on for a
Yeah,
little bit extra
breach.
sustain.
Do you guys think it's going to be like multiple in the case of breach, or is it just going to be one?
I have
They
a
haven't
feeling
really
it's going
talked
to be
about
one, right? Because they're gonna have 3 leagues active at the same time. It seems new and they haven't mentioned it specifically, right? So it's probably gonna be like whatever Xana would normally give.
Yeah, well, I
Well,
think it'll
Xana
just
gives
be
3,
like
right?
the last flashback. It was just normal. So like when it was anarchy, there would be 1 exile, I think,
Yeah.
or maybe 3.
Anarchy's like 2, right? I don't remember. Like,
It's like it's not like a particularly crazy thing.
Mm, I mean, Invasion Beyond and the breach on like a double Beyond map. Yeah, but that doesn't sound nearly as exciting because I thought that it was 1 too, but then people started proposing that yeah, it's kind of going to be like Xana mods where there's 3 or maybe 3 breaches or 5 breaches. That'll be a lot more exciting. Obviously, you
I
can't do
hope
them
it's
at
like
once,
that,
but
but knowing GG, they gotta scale it down because softcore economy, man, gotta protect it. Like those standard
God
players.
forbid more currency goes into the standard.
Don't crash the economy, guys. They're gonna get more Eternal Orbs.
The thing about that though is even on something like Mayhem, right? You gotta remember like if they ever do for some reason use that argument, you have like crazy clunker and legacy. So the time it takes you, even on something with Mayhem with 20 boxes, it takes you or it takes people who would want to be doing that. Like 'cause the speedrunners aren't the people doing that. It's more slightly more casual people that would be thinking like, well, I want to make money for standard. It would still take like 2 or 3 days to level up a character, and then they're not gonna have their legacy clunker. So you're still making a lot less currency than you currently can on standard.
yeah, but it's just that everything gets. It's just such a big influx, right? There's just so many people, and all of it gets moved. So maybe
Can
that's
I
how they
just say though,
consider it.
it's really important that we protect the standard economy. Let me just introduce Elder and Shaper items real quick, just because I really care about the infrastructure we've built over the last 5 years. You know.
Imagine if it's actually going to be like 1 mod, and people ask him, "Hey, like this would be a lot more exciting if there were like 3 breaches and 3 exiles and all this sort of stuff," and they're going to be like, "No, because you guys complained that the last races were voided, so instead we're like dumbing this one down so that we don't ruin it." Like, imagine if that's an actual argument. I mean, it must be if the void stuff came up in the past, right?
I mean, what you need to remember is so. I kicked up a big fuss about the whole reward structure thing, and so did a few other people in Reddit, and we managed to get them to change their mind on the reward structure. Because before they wanted to just give alt arts to the top 10 of ladder, not to each of ascendancy. And the main reason they did that, according to what Beck said, was they wanted people to have the option to respec ascendancy. And that kind of goes to show just how kind of like common denominator focus they're kind of going for. So it's like people complain about Void League, so we can't do Void League anymore. People be upset if they can't change their ascendancy, so we're going to gimp the whole like race structure to please this like one dipshit. He's got, you know, an identity crisis level 50. So it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case, to be honest.
I think they should just like try out 1 week of mayhem and just make it not voided, just to see what happens with economy and so on. Like, who's that gonna hurt? And they just do like, okay, we have 1 short mayhem race, stand economy.
How many people
Okay.
can it be at this point, right? Like, there's so many people playing on the temporary leagues. How many people can it really be in
Isn't it still
standard
like
that have such an
40% or
impact?
something?
But like
crazy
no,
like
but
that?
there's loads of people playing in standard, but they're not playing there because of like, wow, I really love the current standard economy. They're playing it because wow, I don't lose my items. It's people that don't
Yeah,
like
they
losing
don't
their
want to
items.
reroll.
That's the
Just like,
attraction.
yep, they want to continue their progression.
They don't
Really
necessarily
think
give a
it's
shit
that
if their
much?
mortal hope is worth 20C or 40.
One thing which might be kind of interesting and might trigger a few people in chat, do you think since Xbox is its own like entirely new economy, they might slightly care more about preserving standard now? Because it's like a new thing rather than like 5 years of dumpster trash is collected there. You kind of know what I mean?
I kind of wish they released statistics for this because it's so outdated. I think Havoc, you just threw a number like 40% of the people playing standard.
Yeah,
or
that's a really
something.
old number. I have no
Yeah.
idea what it actually is.
Because, like, for instance, in the past, it would be like 50-50 or even 60-40 when it comes to hardcore to like softcore on temporary leagues, right? But nowadays, it's pretty obvious that it's like or like 80% softcore and maybe 20 hardcore. But we don't really know anything about these statistics. So if they would release these numbers, and if the standard people, there's actually a lot of them, I would be, I think, more understanding of the issue. But in the light of the recent events and how they approached the whole ascendancy stuff when it comes to racing, which typically is the main drive for people to actually try and go for these races, it kind of showcases an issue that they might be a little bit detached from how this looks like from the perspective of the community.
I wouldn't be surprised if there are more standard than hardcore players at this point. I really wouldn't be surprised at all.
Standard and hardcore?
Yeah, I think they're probably really close in numbers, to be honest.
I would imagine
Are you
it's
talking
close.
about, like permanent league, standard, and hardcore.
No, I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if there's the same or more like permanent standard players than there are hardcore like temp league players.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the game's growing, right? So this will naturally happen, and if it peaks, let's hope not. I think that's going to start. People are going to start experimenting and all this sort of stuff, and just to preserve their fun, they might be trying out hardcore a little bit more. But that's like hopefully.
Yeah, a lot of
far
people
future.
start doing that later in the league anyway. Like they do all their challenges in softcore and then they go hardcore.
I think also like one thing I've definitely experienced a lot this league with my players since I made the swap to SSF is it seems like you get a lot more softcore players willing to swap to hardcore SSF than hardcore trade league for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but I think that seems like that I've noticed a lot more with my viewers at least. That people seem to go more for the SSF route than going straight into hardcore.
Oh, it's hard, right? Because of the economy. Like, that's one of the biggest things, that it's already so difficult to get into PoE because of the way the economy looks and the way you have to price your items and all this stuff. It's really confusing. But then if you move on hardcore trade league, it's basically you have a certain awareness of what's worth what, but then it's so different that you just cut that and go SSF, I guess.
Trading is also really fun, by the way. So
Well,
Especially buying
Trading
licenses.
can be fun. Well, like if you like, there are times where trading's like, yeah, PogChamp, when you get the cool stuff and you set up a strategy, and then there's like Shinrha said, I need to buy 100 essences, and this is going to take me 3.5 weeks, and AFK offline, AFK offline, offline, offline. Hey, you have 3, can I buy all of them? Wait 20 minutes, get no reply back, then confused, they give you 1, and you're like, for fuck's sake. But I would be really curious like how much of that is streamer influence, because obviously like if you do something, your viewers are more likely to do it. It would never happen, but if, you know, let's just say 3.3 rolls out and Mathel says, I'm going hardcore for the whole league, I'm really curious like how much of like a population change that would cause if someone that large made the swap.
I think
I would
that's a
love
big
to see.
effect. Yeah, but you never know, right? Until he does it, so who knows?
Well, I think a lot of it too is the community has changed a lot over time. Like before, like back when I started playing, it was like if you don't play hardcore, you're fucking trash and your family would disown you. So a lot of people felt like they had to play hardcore or they were literal trash. Whereas now, like even I haven't heard any hardcore player say like anyone is trash for playing softcore. So
Oh, it's the opposite now. It's softcore elitism. If you're
That's
hardcore,
true.
you log out because you're trash.
Yeah,
Or both.
I always
Any-
find that so silly because like you look at any like hardcore stream and they might log out once every 3 days or something, and it's like the one time they log out, it's like, haha, why are you logging out, dude? You know, so
And the best one is lol didn't log out shitter when they don't log out, and then lol did log out shitter, and it's like. I think my favorite thing you've ever said about it, Havoc, is kind of like if you're crossing the road and a car's coming for you, do you move out of the way? You know, it's like
Yeah,
I've got to get
yeah.
hit, man. I've just got to take it.
just get hit by the car, it's okay. You know, we have
Well,
insurance.
no,
and software.
I feel like just both hardcore or softcore elitism stupid. It's just a fucking video game.
Yeah, exactly. Just play whatever you have fun with. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, just to highlight for people who didn't play back in the day how bad it's gotten, that GGG, Chris Wilson personally had to come out with a post saying, listen, everybody, if we're changing the name of the league, it's not called softcore anymore. It's like default or something.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're playing softcore, you're just another person. You're not like a piece of trash on the street. And like they had to really imprint this into people's minds that you can't play softcore, it's alright to do it, because the entire community pretty much came from Crip's stream, where the mentality was a little bit elitist. So they had to fight that. But I mean, in a way, sure, I guess nobody has the reach of Kriparian anymore just because the game has grown so much. So streamers have less of an influence. But it really goes to show that, yeah, back then, I mean, it was Crip against the developers. And if Crip said softcore is shit, you fucking played hardcore, man. So, yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, like back then, like Chris even said the game was designed to be played in hardcore. So, like, there was a lot of elitism from like Crip and stuff. That wasn't just like Crip just strolled into the game and was like, "My shit now, homie." It's like, "Oh, if you don't do this, you suck." You know.
I mean, it was kind of. Crip at the time was the biggest streamer on Twitch, like by far, and PoE was a tiny game. So.
Yeah, that's fair. So, to backtrack back onto the flashback thing, since people keep asking me, if you're someone who just wants to get like an easy level 95, what kind of build would you guys recommend?
Marathon.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, for an easy 95. Sorry, I understood for the Altar.
Easy demi? No.
Yeah,
I think an Inquisitor or Berserker.
I would say Essence Drain, like Occultist, Trickster, just throw your stuff in a pack and then just run away from it.
I agree. That's what I would play if I was playing SSF. Trickster ED.
But that's in the case of 95.
Even for 100, either.
Okay.
I mean, even just.
Marathon. So nice.
I'm more of a Trickster guy too. Yeah, I think totems are a little bit weird now. Even with all the placement speed and everything, when I saw that with Hierophant, I was like, wow, that's a lot of placement speed. But then, you know, if you can just kinetic blast the pack instead,
Exactly.
Why place down a totem?
And the real build to get 95 is just Shape Underground Sea. That's your build.
Yeah,
And you're done.
I was actually just about to mention that, because unless you don't, like, if you're trying to rush it in like 3 days or something, yeah, go pick up some meta build, right? But in my opinion, if you have a whole month, just take your time, pick something that you have fun with, try something you normally wouldn't have tried. This is going to be a loot pinata league, so it's going to be pretty easy to acquire the crazy items you normally couldn't get, and or like some legacy items. So I'd say just Underground Sea, you know, just catch the grind, easy.
I think you're exaggerating the loot pinata a little bit. It's not going to be that much more than a normal league.
Well, depends.
But you can
right?
target farm
Yeah,
stuff.
it depends. Because it's like, just with the whole breach thing, it could be like 1 breach, could be 1 to 3. Like, that makes quite a big difference. And then
that's
true.
how they do, like, Kadiro, for example. Oh, and there's, like, the weird thing that I sort of half understood, where they were saying not all league items will be dropping. And I think that was something to do with, like, how it's coded. Does anyone know exactly how that works?
It sounded like it
So-
doesn't count as the league.
Yeah, so
like,
for
Nemesis, you can't get headhunters in it.
But you can get Brandis and you can get Beyond.
Wait, you can get
Brandis
beyond
items
items?
drop from the chests themselves.
Right.
Beyond also drops from the Beyond mobs themselves. I think.
Or like Breach as well.
Or at least the
drops from
cards.
Breach guys.
Yeah. So like Ambush, Anarchy, stuff like that, you can't get those.
So you can still get a headhunter from Nemesis mobs, is what you're saying.
No.
No, you're
no.
saying
Yeah,
you
that's a joke, obviously.
Okay.
But you can still chance him, right?
Not in the area, you have to put it through the
He does
Mephiles.
I think that's fair. No.
Yeah, it's just, it was really weirdly worded. I think that tricked a lot of people out. They were like, wait, what? So I can't get breach items now? Also, I'm curious on what your guys' opinion is, because I had a guy in my chat who was like, he said, Tarke, I've got like the best strat. Okay, what I'm going to do is SSF, yeah? I'm going to target farm breach, I'm going to play Howard Guardian. And I'm like, I saw Noogie do that once, and that wasn't very fun to watch someone chain target farm breach, like, for 3 days. Do you recommend the Howard target farm strat?
I mean, the claw is pretty easy to drop, to be fair. I don't know, the build is okay, I guess.
If that's what you want to play, like, go for it. You might not be competitive doing that. but
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, I'd say go for it.
I mean, we also get a few more splinters through divination cards now from Abyssa they're dropping. So
Those div
that might
cards are
help a
so
little bit.
good, by the way. Like, that's a good set of div cards. I love those.
What the hell do you play with an assassin right now? If you were
Kind of
to
like
go-
anything, to be honest. Because I was looking through like the populations of ascendancy, especially as I'm starting late. I've got to try and like I'm not going to be like, oh, I'll get rank 1 occultist and SSF. That'll be easy starting 4 days late. And yeah, I think the thing with assassin is just like you kind of just play anything, to be honest. It gets that 20% movement speed. Like you could just go to like normal lab assassin and just play like KB, Frostblades, insert caster build. Like you'd be fine.
I think you just need to do like Sunder to level 65, and then you probably have an altar Demi on assassin now.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think. People
Wait,
don't
how's the
really-
demi rewards working? It's like 1 to 3 is alt art, and then next
Yeah.
couple are normal
1
or
to
something?
3 is
Seven?
alt art, then 4 to 10 is normal.
Okay, cool.
How do
That's
you
a lot of alt arts.
Yeah, people can complain about alt art inflation, but I kind of feel like at this point, does anyone really care that much?
It's been
I
the same
don't.
shit for like 2 years now.
I don't even know why people buy race rewards. It's like, just why? What's the point? It means nothing.
I just want to have permanent skin transfer.
Yeah, if they had skin transfers, sure, but like
Yeah.
they
Well,
don't.
that's the
so-
thing. They might in the future though, so then it does
As
matter.
soon as they do, the
Um,
prices skyrocket. Yeah.
I care. So I actually want them. I think 10 is not enough. I think, like, because I mean, who cares about the inflation of the chest at this point? I want them to give out like top 20 or 30, because then so many more people have like a chance to get it, and especially for both softcore and hardcore trade league, it makes it like a really healthy economy. Because if you only have top 10, then it's like, well, okay, I don't have a chance for top 10. Why do I play the league past level 90? It just means everyone's quits. But however, if it's top 30, then loads of people are going like, well, I actually have a chance of winning this.
Yeah, but then imagine how Reddit would look like the next day. It's like, well, I have this really ridiculous fucking opinion, but I did get rank 19 occultist, so
Kind of a
it's
big
valid.
deal. I'm
Isn't
kind of a
that-
professional
I'm kind of
racer.
a big deal.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
happens already, though.
Yeah, like they
That's not
change.
going to change anything.
Now they
I
just have
mean,
an
I'll
extra
have
pick
you
if
know
does
that I got rank 2 Saboteur and Mayhem, so I'm kind of a professional. Gucci said I'm actually better than Steel because I didn't die that race, so pretty good.
Hey, how about that? Ziz and Tarke. That's gonna squad up for the race.
Oh yeah, actually, fuck it. No, you know what we could.
Dude,
No,
get
Ziz,
off
Ziz,
one.
Ziz. You know what we could do, right? Since I'm gonna be AFK for the first few days, and I did want to play SSF, but no, it's great. The thing about this here, right? I'll let you start in Trade League because you need a group, yeah. Just have a headhunter spare for day 4. I can log in, equip that shit. Oh, level quick,
That's
quick.
actually the strat.
I'll just go pop, pop,
Yo,
pop.
Ziz,
I'll
just
be
make a
popping
tornado
off.
shot character, farm burial chambers for 4 days, just farm all of Tarke's gear. Tarke just re-rolls day 4, and then you guys get rank 1. Easy.
Easy,
like
mate.
this.
Hey, Ziz,
Farm burials for 3
Ziz.
days, you got this.
I'll even let you have my alt art because I'm kind like that. That we can have for a skin transfer in
Yeah,
20 years time.
exactly.
I don't care about the
Easy.
altar.
I mean, you guys could just also start at the same time too, because if Tarky starts 4 days late, Sis is probably gonna eat Exile DD somewhere along the way. So, I mean,
That's actually pretty realistic.
same here. Not good.
One thing I do want to ask, was anyone else shocked by like how few people are playing in Quiz? I know that a lot of it's just because like people are kind of bored of it, but do you think in Quiz will be like a free win in this race, or people will be like, it gives attack speed, this is OP, let's go?
I think everything is going to be pretty competitive. I like both Inquisitor is definitely going to be played a lot because it's especially good for the races. It's not any worse than it was in Turmoil. Just, like Trickster is slightly better now, but like the top 3 for Inquisitor is still going to be very competitive.
And people are like a bunch of fucking rabid dogs right now, to be honest. Everybody after Beast Cherry is just like they haven't eaten for a full month and they just want to play now. So, I think there's going to be a lot of people. This will be a big race. I hope. Anyway.
I'm really curious what the least played Ascensi is going to be, because I know a lot of people are going to like, oh, like, okay, what are people not going to play? Berserker?
Pathfinder.
Question mark? And then like
Yeah.
5,000 people play Berserker, right? So it's I'm curious what happens.
Yeah, I always
I
say to
think it
people
could
to pick like the 2nd or 3rd least played. I'm sorry I cut you off there.
I think it's probably going to be Pathfinder because with Deadeye, like for both and some people use so much damage on Deadeye and utility, and Pathfinder doesn't really give you all that much. At least on most builds.
Especially if you don't have that.
And even more on solo cell phone, then you have a hard time getting the unique flasks.
Yeah.
You don't even need the unique flask with Path. Like, that's the thing which fucking annoys me about. But Tarke, I can't play Pathfinder. I have to press my flask. Like, the fact people think you have to press your flask more, even though it's got so much like increased duration on it, or that they think it's only good if you're like wearing 20 Taste of Hates. If you just like have a resist, flask on it, it's pretty fucking OP.
It's pretty nice. You don't have to like
Yeah.
think about your flasks. You really just piano them every like 3 seconds, and you always have full flasks. It's honestly like
Piano
not
life.
that bad if you're doing like really bad layouts, even compared to Deadeye. In some cases, I would say Pathfinder's actually better than Deadeye, especially if you're going to be bossing and stuff.
I think bossing might be more relevant for the safe round. Imagine you get your Elder on a spot where you don't want to have it, but you still want to have your Elder circle. Then you might
Yeah,
be
exactly.
struggling with some builds.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you about that, Raiz. So, for SSF, are you going to bother setting up the Elder Circle, or are you just going to be like, nah, too much aggro?
I mean, I have a little bit of a secret strat.
Oh, tell me
so
about it then, yeah.
It
He won't tell
involves it involves Thunder, and just because of that, I think I'm going to try to just basically throw my face, because like outplaying Ayla and all this stuff, like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I probably can't do that anyway. So instead, I'm just gonna like go full Ventura, throw my face at content, hopefully not put in a reflect map, and then just like hit 100 before Ayla even gets to maps, because he takes such a long time to get to maps. That's basically my plan. So because of that, if I've got the maps, then yeah, there should be a lot more maps. I think it's worth it to set up an Elder Ring for something like that. But at the same time, if I'm going to be running 10s and 11s, it's not that big of a deal. And then also, snapshotting is a damn much worse, and you really do need a lot of maps to set up an Elder Ring. Like, imagine if you run out of maps setting up an Elder Ring. Like, that's a fucking nightmare, right? Because you've already used up a lot of maps. So it's a little bit tricky, but I would say in general, if I were to advise people, if you aren't really gunning for it, I think an Elder Ring in SSF is absolutely the smarter play.
Do
I
you
have a
think... Oh, sorry, go on, Ziz.
I have a new strat for Rise. I actually think you can like crush Isla. You just need to stop watching that like half naked dude for 6 hours a day while eating.
Yeah, that's got a point. I mean, I've learned this from the master Havoc himself. Not really about the learned part, but about the master part. Sometimes I agree. That yeah, breaks are good. Gotta take breaks. I don't know. Gives you a moment to really think about it and optimize your gear. And this is also something that you've pointed out about me in the past too, is that I kind of just try to push a little bit too much, and then things fall behind more and more and more, and then eventually it catches up with me, and I ripperoni pepperoni.
That's
I've been
true.
trying to cut back on that, so this gives me a little bit more time to think about it while I'm also munching away on something.
That's true.
I think that is, like, the one main thing is, like, knowing when to stop being a potato. Like, the only reason, like, because I'm by no means a good racer, and I've actually gotten, like, better at racing because my health is so bad, because I can't, like, push myself ridiculously hard. So, like, in Turmoil and Mayhem, I was, like, getting, like, top 5s, top 10s. It isn't amazing. But the only reason I was getting that is, like, I have to sleep. So what was happening is I was sleeping, and then I was logging in, and then everyone died while I was sleeping because they've been like playing for like 58 hours and putting in reflect maps and shit. And I'm just like, yeah, this is my 8th tea of the day. I'm playing, I've got my support here. It's chill. He's pressing the strong boxes. It's fine. And yeah, just like the actual. That's one of the things I also really like about the hourly setup is that if you're chasing certain mods, you kind of get that like mini break every hour of like, oh, let's refresh the website. Yeah, you might have like a spare few maps like already pre-set up in Templar Lab and stuff, but being able to wait, what are the new mods? And also, I guess Templar's Lab. So how important do you think it is that they get that fixed? Because they've said that they want to try and fix it.
Fuck the Templar Lab.
Fuck it. I think everybody hates it, right?
Raiz, can
Not
we
a fan.
explain what the Templar Lab is to someone who like doesn't know what it is?
Sure. So basically, you can open multiple instances in the Templar Lab, and every time you open a new instance, that instance snapshots. So if you were to, for instance, get Elder Influence on an individual map, let's say Underground C, now you can go to your Templar Lab and open a map, put in your Underground C, and then go make another Templar Lab. And since you haven't cleared the previous map, your influence is still there. And now, if you were to go back to the map you did before, that influence will be there, and even if you do it, the map that you've put in after that, but you've already got open before you've used up the influence, will also have the influence. And you can extend this also to the league mods. So if the league mods rotate and the next hour you've got different league mods, you can snapshot the league mods from the previous hour and you're good to go. No question mark me, god damn it. That was a pretty good.
that was a good
No,
explanation.
that was pretty good.
actually.
That was
pretty
pretty
good,
clean.
I
That was
thought.
pretty clean.
God damn it. I still get the question marks? Fuck.
Can you say that again?
I could actually.
Hang on,
yeah.
so with old sextant blocking Raiz, if you could just explain sextant blocking real quick. How would that affect? How like big of a deal do you think that would be if they managed to fix it? Do you think it will change it much? Like in terms of someone like Alia as well, he was the one of the guys who was really good at like being good at managing that stuff. Do you think that would like destroy his strat at all if that just like disappeared?
Well, it's map sustain, right? With an Elder Ring, it's a little bit more effort, but I mean, you can still set it up without like really delving into too many maps that you don't want to necessarily run. So I think it would still be fine, but it might have an impact on sustain. But then you've also have to look at Flashback, right, as a race where you should potentially be having a lot more maps. But we have yet to find out really how it's going to be looking. I mean, one extra breach per map, that's not large amounts of sustain, but it should help out if you just want to run 10s and 11s. But if you're going to be gunning for something like Isla was doing, with basically only running 14s and 15s with like the very occasional 13, yeah, that would be hard for SSF, I think. So yeah, it would have a pretty big impact on not only the race aspect, but also I think the fun aspect, because again, it's just not that fun to set it up. And
Yeah,
make
right.
your
I
instance
hate doing it.
Just
But
don't
you feel like you have to.
punishing yourself
Yeah.
by not doing it.
I think the whole Templar laboratory thing goes like against the base idea of Flashback that like when you don't have the Templar lab, then you run maps where it's like, okay, I have storm boxes there, I have breaches there, I have beyond there. Do you rather run the bad layouts with the good stuff, or do you want the good layouts with the worst stuff? So, and Templar lab goes completely against that.
And it feels the fucking worse if you have got good mods and then the hour rotates and you've put in like 40 maps and then the next rolls are also good and you're just like, well, I've got 40 maps that I gotta run, so I guess I'm never going to be doing the new good rolls.
Oh, you just
so.
snapshot again at the end of that hour.
Yeah, and then you get good mods again, and then you just want to shoot yourself. I don't know.
Oh, then you get exiles for the next 5 hours, and you thank yourself that you snapshotted.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, it's definitely very punishing to not use, I would say, in these sort of races, but you'll see everybody using it if it is available.
One more thing I'm curious before we move off from Flashback. Is anyone here planning on playing a build which isn't Sunder?
All of us?
Yes.
All of us, yeah.
Oh, just everyone but Raiz. Okay, so go on,
I
Waggle.
mean-
I think
what
that
are
you should
going
change
for
that
then?
question. Anyone planning on not playing Kinetic Blast or?
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
True, yeah, transition
I'm
into
also going to
KB.
be switching to Kinetic Blast probably, or a bow. I mean, hopefully not, but yeah. I mean, I've never played Sunder for like a race like this, but after hearing about Ventura's level 93 in 24 hours, yeah, that kind of shocked me, to be honest. Because that's also with like an 85 bonus Atlas, he said. That's pretty crazy. I think that's something that, if you were to look at previous leagues, that's something that can compete with Trade League if players remain at the same level and can win. So
So are you going to go Sunder Deadeye into hopefully KB Deadeye?
or bow Deadeye something, yeah, depending on what I get.
All right, then let's do a round table out of interest. So Waggle, what are you planning for?
I don't know. I have no idea what I'm playing. I just know I'm not playing fucking Sunder.
Essence String.
I thought about it.
Like, to be fair, like, you always play Essence Drain. You could probably Shrek on Trickster. Are there any, like, really good Trickster players? Like, there's not going to be anyone in group playing it, because it's, like, not part of any comp, so
Yeah.
you'd probably
But
be
I mean, I'm
alright
gonna
on
be gone for. I'll be gone for literally 6 days after the 3rd day.
that. Okay, Waggle. If you become part of me and Ziz's group, you can help him farm my Doctor cards, yeah? And then I'll use the headhunter. Then when you're back, I'll give it to you so you can catch back up. Easy. Ziz,
Well,
is
my
something
actual-
wrong? Do you
one
need
of
like
my
do you need glue or
possible
something?
plan, I would roll Magic Find from day one, and I would farm my own doctor cards, and I would buy all the other ones that get listed for sale, and then I would just leave with all the cards, and nobody gets a headhunter.
I just can't stop thinking about how Tarke comes back and then Waggle leaves. I wonder if he's going to the same place.
I don't think you can farm enough currency, Waggle. Like, there's no way you're gonna outfarm like groups.
One of my favorite things about the whole group dynamic is when you have, like, you had this a lot with, like, Cosprey's Will and stuff, when one group is the one item the other group wants, it's just how much will I charge them to give it to
I
them.
remember that.
You guys got a little bit pissed in, I can't remember if it was Mayhem or Turmoil, but
Turmoil,
we
yeah.
had
Basically,
the
yeah.
Cosprey Will, and you're like, yeah, fuck him, he's not giving it to us, Ree.
Yeah, but then you guys died, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll sell it for like way cheaper." I was like, "Yeah, you will."
I think we already had one at that point too, so we're like, yeah, we don't care. See ya. On that topic, I remember not buying gear from Ziz in races before. I was like, hey, I could buy it off Ziz, or I could just get a worse item off someone else and not give currency
Yeah.
to Ziz. I'll get the crappier item.
Oh god, that reminds me way back in the day when I did like it was only me and Garatha that did at Ziri. It was like that was actually funny. GGG posted about how, oh my god, like they posted it on Twitter and on the forums like RaizQT, the first one to do at Ziri on the 2-week race or something, and it was like so hype and everything, and then turns out that Garatha did it like a day before me. Like GGG made a post about it and everything. That was pretty funny, but we were the only ones with at Ziri's promises, and Kobe wanted to buy one, and then I didn't want to sell it to him because he was competition, right? So why the fuck would I sell him a flask that nobody else has access to? And they like eventually somehow traded it through somebody else, and then Kobe messages to me, and they were like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself. We got your flask, bitch." I'm just like, what the fuck?
We were doing that in our ones. We were getting like different, like our friends and stuff like, hey, can you whisper this guy because they won't sell it to us because we're not selling them a Cosprey as well, and vice versa.
They went through like 4 different people
Yeah.
to get my fucking Azuri's promise. It was crazy. No, they did get the flask though. So.
Yeah, back real quick.
So, Shinrha, what build are you planning on then?
It's probably not going to work out. Zula self-found Wages Fire Pathfinder. So it's going to be fun farming Divination Distillate. But once I got that, that's nice. And then I want to get Impulsor and Winkta, and then should be pretty fast. If I don't get that, then it's going to be pretty terrible, I guess.
Wait, so what's your goal exactly?
Pathfinder dummy.
Okay, just for oh, okay. Because that seems more like a, you know, some sort of farmy approach rather than actually going for a demi.
I mean, if I can get the flask, then I can go for demi. If I don't get the flask, then I guess I hope that Poit's pen drops or something else that is interesting.
He's basically doing what I'm doing, which is like, I want an excuse to lose, so I'm going to go for the full Gamba strat of if it drops, I win. Like, let's go.
Sounds good.
Nice. Yeah, I can understand that.
I really don't think you'll have, like, any real competition. I think the one thing you might have is that thing where, like, Raiz rips 2 weeks in, and then he's like, oh, I happen to have the gear to make this build now. Like, that's the one thing he was always going to watch out for in SSR.
2 weeks in.
Well, I'm assuming you've already died, like, 5 times by this point, but after 2 weeks you've gotten your flask, and you're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. I talked about earlier how I like try to be a smarter player now and rip less and all this sort of stuff. But really the difference is that instead of dying at rank 1, I die at like rank 6 now. So it doesn't really make a difference what the fuck different approach I have. Like, what the hell? I prefer dying at rank 1 if I'm gonna die anyway. Shit.
But yeah, I kind of want to try it out to get Divination Distillate. I mean, we have Pyrandos farming, we have Beast Crafting for unique flaws, we have Chancing it, we have Randomar and G-Lag, we have Divination card. I hope I don't
Where
have to
does
found
the
Divination card.
div card for that actually drop?
Yeah, Tier 12 Villa.
Ew. Yeah, fuck that.
And Acnord Staves, the Divination card for those, they drop in Tier 12 Torture Chamber.
Way better to chance them.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go full on chance ops, try to get everything.
So what's your plan in terms of the Atlas? If you're saying you're going for the Demi, but then you're running a tier 12 Villa?
I hope it doesn't come to that point, but then, I mean, hope a red Saxons drop and then remove that tier 12.
So you're just getting that Villa and then everything
Yeah, and then
else
back
is
to,
just-
like, what is it? Underground Sea, Toxic Sewers,
Okay.
that kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff or other stuff too? Because you're playing a ref, right? So the strength of that, for the most part, from what I've seen, is really running those higher maps. So would you take the risk or do you not
I
care?
could probably take the risk here as well. I guess, like,
Yeah, if you
Shape
could get
Waste
to
Blue, for
Waste Pool.
example, tier 14.
Hmm.
And one good thing about Pathfinder Ref would be that I can do ADA and all that kind of stuff. So if I get a shitty ADA position on my Atlas, then I can still fix that.
That's very worthwhile. That's something that saved my ass. That I had some random Juggernaut RF and I just did my Yellow Elder and that really helped out because my Atlas was absolutely messed up. So that's a smart approach. Being able to do Elder helps out a lot, especially if you're gonna go for that ring or something. You guys
I'm
should take
wondering
note.
how possible it would be to farm something like Shaper and Solo Self-Found. Like I imagine I get all the like Wonder gear and then I want to have a Dying Sun, but my energy is shitty, so I probably don't do that. So yeah.
That sounds very glowy
Yeah, that sounds
brain.
really
like,
dreamy. It's
okay,
like
what I'm going to do
1%
is I'm going to
chance.
play Pathfinder. I'm going to farm the Divination Distillate and the Impulsor, so then I can power farm up to Shaper to get a Dying Sun, so then I can reroll into a Wonder. Easy game.
You gotta
Don't
be
you need
ambitious,
to go
right?
Shaper to get to the Elder Orb though?
Yeah, you do.
So it's not that far fetched, right? Maybe like a different early build, but maybe
And if you
you'll
get lucky and
You
get
also
8
need
on
the
a
memory
250, right?
fragments for the orb, though. That's probably not happening.
We're gonna be like entering Guardians and the other guy's already gonna be 100, so I don't know. It's kind of tricky.
Oh, talking about Elder Rings, Waggle, I have to ask you, did you ever actually get your Elder Ring? Because last time I looked, you were on like 38 kills or some shit.
Oh yeah, it's easy.
Oh,
There's 41 elder spawns.
Oh god.
No big deal.
Why?
Don't worry about it. Burial Chambers is a messed up map.
Oh, you just couldn't get it for just Burial Chambers?
Yeah, it needs like a super specific spawn. I don't know if you've seen how that one works out. There's like, realistically, there's like 3 maps Elder can spawn on, and you have a chance of setting up a burial ring.
Jeez.
That sounds like fun.
I found a way
Sounds like a
better way
nightmare.
to do it. That like, you can get it in probably 5 or 6 spawns. But it took me about 35 failures before I realized that was the case.
I just had a really fun week because Waggle starts the stream around the time I end. So for a week, I'll just end the stream, just quickly check in on Waggle and just watch the counter going up and him sounding more and more depressed as the week went on. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and then 2 days after I set it up, I died to a Lyra DD.
Oh
I
yeah,
saw that.
Yeah. That
It's
was
not the first time either, right?
That was what?
Not the first time you've died to Lyra DD?
Oh, I died in Spider Forest. I one-shot the unique zombie and she blew it up.
Preparing has taught you nothing.
I guess at least it wasn't the other Lyra, right? So.
One important
No, but
thing
this one
about
was,
the
and it was after they made it so you're not supposed to die to it anymore because there's a 37-second delay.
I was gonna say one important thing about the Ada spawn stuff. If you have one Ada Guardian alive and then have Ada on a map where there's a Pantheon power, good luck with getting the Pantheon power. You have to destroy a whole circle. Because if you put on Divine Vessel and the map, it's gonna say you can't activate that map. Because well, there's supposed to be Ada even though he isn't there. Like for example, you can run the map without a Divine Vessel. Ada is not gonna show up because Guardian is still alive. And you can get map completion, but the Divine Vessel doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it happened to me.
Are you
it happened to
implying
Waggle.
that the Pantheon system is fucked? What?
No, never.
I fucking hate Pantheon. It's like, it was kind of cool, but the fact that you have to do it every fucking character is so fucking annoying. Like,
It is weird.
if you didn't have to, if the meta wasn't around like adding and removing maps to the Atlas, it wouldn't be that bad. But in the case of like getting the Desert Springs upgrade, this whole thing of like, oh, let me get it on this character, then remove it from my Atlas, and then, oh, I died or whatever because hardcore, or blame a new build. Now let me put it back on my Atlas, get the power, take it off again. It's just like...
I just have to say, Desert Springs is literally the worst boss in the game. I want to uninstall every time I have to do it in progression and in
You could
map.
just
You know, like 20
re-roll a
minutes?
CI build and level up to level 90 by
No,
the
it just
time you
takes
kill
like
the Desert
9
Springs
hours.
boss.
Like, just take a nap while doing it. It's so
Yeah.
boring. It's not hard.
Also, the hitbox on that boss is fucked as well. Like, it's super easy, but the slam thing she does, she hits you from, like, behind, she hits you from sideways. It never kills you, but it's, like, randomly hits you. It's, like, everything about that
actually
fight is
happens in
annoying.
Reef too.
Yeah.
The Reef boss, his slam hits
Oh, yeah.
behind him for some reason.
Not good. Topics?
Topics, yes. Okay, so since we kind of talked everything flashback, I guess we can
Oh, wait,
kind
I
of...
have one more flashback.
Oh,
thing.
go flashback, Amy.
So, one of the reasons I think this is like going way back a bit about why they don't do Void League is that GGG sees people like play the race with like crazy loot and drops and stuff like that, so they don't want to make it too crazy because then when you play a normal league, like players see the contrast and think there's like no loot, no XP. It's just like look at Breach for example. Like after Breach, everyone's like, wow, this league is it's just not a Breach. You know, there's like as I say now, I can't run T3 maps anymore. My map is low density, baby rage, like etc. So.
I mean, to
Yeah.
be fair, I had that really bad after Mayhem. Like, Mayhem ruined Abyss for me. Like, I was so spoilt from Mayhem. So I do think that's fair.
Makes sense. Sure.
But, yeah, so Ignite, by the way. One thing which I do find kind of funny before we talk about the Ignite thing is the amount of people who asked me, because when I read it, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of scared that Prolif might come back again. And like, what? I thought Ignite's always been shit. Ignite has been bad for so long now. You have people who've played the game for over a year, and like Ignite's never been good for them. And
Oh,
that's
The
yeah.
player base is like
and that's such a large percentage of the player base as well. Like most people, not most, but a lot of people like started playing in like Harby onwards. So you have some people who've played the game for like over a year, and Ignite has never been good for them. But how are we feeling about the changes? Positive, like scared, like what do we think?
I'm excited. Pizza's back. I love pizza.
Really excited. But that being said, is it really going to be that good? AoE scaling, and how good projectile skills are. I don't know if it's going to be that
Yeah.
great. It's going to be fun to play, sure, when we try it, but we're trying to go fast. I don't know if it's the build to pick.
Just
Oh
do
yeah, no, for sure. It'll be
projectile-based
nothing
Ignite.
compared to KB.
People think Flame Blast is going to be top tier speed again. They're going to be disappointed.
well.
I mean,
depending on
Flame
what they
Blast
do
was
with
never like an amazing speed thing. It was good leveling, but it dropped off. Like I know you're making that face, but Raiz, you used to agree with me quite a lot on this. It was one of those things of like Flame Blast did drop off when it came to like racing.
Well,
It's like
eventually, it
Not
did, but there was
really.
also a time when
depends
Flame
when.
Blast was top dog the whole way through.
Flame
When the
Blaze
Vol
used
skills
to,
took over, that was when Flame
Yeah.
Blast was like a leveling skill.
pretty much. I mean, back in the days of like Ellie Reflect and equipping a Rise of the Phoenix and all this sort of Ellie Aura stuff, yeah, that's when Flame Blast really kicked off. I do think that Flame Blast overstayed its welcome for a little bit compared to like other skills that people eventually started realizing that they were available for a while, like the Vol skills and whatnot. But yeah, Flame Blast still kept its ground for a while, I think. That was so long ago now, yeah. I think the game's like doubled in its player base, so I absolutely
Yeah.
understand that people, especially since I get comments on my YouTube, I did like a commentary on the changes and like my opinions and stuff, and then so many people are just like, "Lol, it's still gonna suck," and it's like, just yesterday I read a comment that was like, "Dude, my Ignite build only has 5k DPS. Like, how the fuck do you think these changes are gonna make it good?" It's like, well, your build is actually dog shit, so they're probably not gonna make it good. It's like, no wonder you have a problem with Ignite. Like, you can still make Ignite builds work right now. It's just that you can't do it to the extent that you used to be able to. And
Yeah.
actually, when it comes to that, I don't think these changes address it. Like, these changes definitely give fire abilities and elementalist identity, a much needed identity right now. But the cool stuff like the conversion stuff, the lightning ignites, the ice shot ignites, and all this sort of stuff wasn't addressed in this post, which is a little bit concerning from my perspective. But overall, as it is for fire abilities, in my opinion, it's looking pretty hot. Like, this stuff's pretty good.
I'm really excited for Incinerate because from what it looks like, it's like they want to make actual Ignite viable for Incinerate. So I think they will make Incinerate have like natural stacking of Ignite. That you can maybe like stack it to like 2, 4, 6, 8, something like that.
Yeah, man, just use Emberwick. 65%.
That's what I mean, like without it.
You gotta use your array on rings to sustain it.
It's like yesterday somebody was like, Raiz, do you think 2 Ember Wakes would be overkill for an Ignite build? I'm like, yeah, even 1 Ember Wake would be overkill. That thing's shit.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Stay away from that.
I think the dangerous thing with Incinerate is we literally know nothing about the rework, so I wouldn't be too optimistic because whatever you think it will be better than what it is. Like, even if they make it amazing, it's just when you have all of your imagination, like, okay, so like Incinerate is going to be ramping ignites, then when it gets to 10 ignites, like the enemy explodes and like a dragon comes out, and then it like breathes fire, proliferating the ignites to everything else, and you
Can we
know.
have this?
Vol Incinerate.
What
But
they could do with Incinerate really is like just get rid of the hit damage entirely and turn it into like a stacking degen. Maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 stacks.
like, yeah,
and
and
just
then
make
it
it a
lowers
beam, a
resistance
longer
too.
beam. Yeah, and it could lower resistance that way. I like that.
Yeah, and it's
Nice
gonna work
thematic.
good with EE. Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah. But no, I agree 100% with what you were saying, Raiz. It's kind of, I was talking a little bit about this before we actually started up today, and I feel, while I am potentially excited, I'm a little bit worried that Ignite is going to end up like Poison. Like, Poison currently can sort of work, but you have to play the Poison package. You have to use the Poison support gems. You have to use like the 2 good skills with Poison. And with how they've kind of gone, oh, Flame Blast has like 110% more Ignite damage per stack. Fireball just has a random like 88% more damage. That I don't really like, that they're trying to fix the scaling if you're using like one of these 4 skills, and then if you're not using those skills, it feels terrible. Yeah.
Where's my explosive arrow at though?
Yeah, although, like, so I've been talking to Zai a lot, because all that Zai ever plays is Explosive Arrow, and he's saying that, he did
It doesn't really
Explosive
need
Arrow
buff.
this league, and to be honest, with current Elementalists, he said it was the best it's ever been if you use a weapon swap Poet's Pen for single target, but then, why not just only play Poet's Pen, is the problem.
It does decent damage. It clears fine. The only thing that holds it back, I think, right now is just how shit Prolif Radius is. I was actually messing around with it. I have a old Explosive Arrow character. The base, like, if you just use Elementalist Prolif, that shit's like a smaller AoE than a melee attack. It has less AoE than a Adziri's Disfavor with no other weapon range modifiers. That's the state of Prolif right now.
Yeah, but they're buffing it, especially the Elementalist one, I think it's 20?
Yeah, it should be pretty big. And that goes from 12 to 18, and then
Yeah.
the gem goes from whatever it was before to 20.
Oh, isn't it reversed? Beacon
What
of Ruin
gem?
is 18, and then the...
Yeah.
Is the gem 20?
The
Ignite
Ignite Prolif
scales
gem,
up
because they made a stupid gem which only prolifs Ignite. I don't know why the fuck they made that gem, by the way.
It's got like a 30 multiplier now too, right?
Yeah. Oh, and can we also talk about our Lord and Savior Combustion, aka the most broken support gem they've ever made? It's got like a casual 30% more damage, 49% chance to ignite, and shreds 19 fire res. It's like, what the
Is
fuck?
it really that broken? It's in the game right now, just without the fire res. And like you can get
I
so
mean,
many
Considering now
sources
you
of
can put it
penetration
on
right now.
castle damage taken in literally any ability. Or put it on your EE ability with the... I guess you can't do that, can you? Because you can't ignite with... Do you have to ignite with that skill to get the fire res debuff?
Probably
they
not.
just have to
I
be
think if the
ignited?
target is just ignited, so it would still work, I guess. Target's ignited from whatever source of your main damage, and then you use this to lower its resistances, and then you hit it again. But I mean, even with something like Pizza Blast, wouldn't it apply at the same time? If you pizza it, then it's ignited and it gets the minus resistance and it gets his 4 more at the same time. I would imagine so. So even for stuff like that, for a main ability, it's pretty good.
I like the part about the minus 19 rest, though, in terms of when you put it on secondary gem setups to boost your main skill. I think it's pretty nice with like Upper Storms and so on. Firestorm also what Waggle said already.
Depending how they change EE, right? That's also kind of a big deal. What do you guys
Maybe
think they're
EE.
going to change it to?
Sounded like they're not changing it this league. Like it's on their radar, but it's not coming.
It's been broken for so long. I'm surprised that well, not broken, but it's just been really strong for a long time.
It sounds like
surprised
they
hasn't changed
want
it.
to bring it back to its roots of like you have to alternate 2 abilities of different elements. So if they do, no one's gonna fucking use it if they
Yeah,
do
no one's
that.
gonna use it because like right now, like even on self-casting night builds, at least back in the day, like you don't really use EE. Like
Yeah.
you're playing Pizza Boss back then, you don't use EE. Your support does or something like that. Casting twice per pack is hell no.
Hey man, this is the start of the SSF rebalancing, my dude. SSF taking over.
Even in SSF, you don't want to cast twice unless you're casting really fast.
Well, I don't think that's the case for most people. I don't think people care, but like obviously if you're pushing ladder, then
Yeah.
that's absolutely different.
I mean, it's just about like fun though. Like I played the world's worst Scorching Ray cultist this league. I basically saw Waggle's character, thought that's cool. Let's make a really shitty version of SSF with none of the gear. And I was clearing. There were probably like Xbox players clearing faster than I was. But you just don't want to have to like press multiple buttons for clear. It just feels bad.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing which I did thought was a bit odd about that post. I think you also said this in your video, Raiz. It's kind of like that EE thing. Basically, I read that as like Righteous Fire and Scorching Ray are a problem more so than Ignite with EE is a problem. Because, yeah, as Havoc said, the only times that your Ignite build ever really used EE was if your support did it, or if you were doing some like super cheesy like Vortex build back in the day when Vortex used to be a good skill.
And if you
Triple
played
element
Explosive
trappers.
Arrow, if you played Explosive Arrow with Elemental or Clear Beam, you're just fucking wrong, okay? You're just fucking wrong, and you shouldn't have done that. Sorry, Havoc. Go.
I was just mentioning triple element trappers back in the day.
Yeah, but that's cool, right? And I would imagine that's what they want, that you're just rotating, stuff like that.
That's the
But-
problem though. While there still are things, like the simpler a skill is, the more powerful it is. Like, why am I gonna bother doing this when I can just KB a room and the entire room's gone and I just run around picking up loot? Like the more advanced the skill is, it needs to be like basically broken in some way. Like look at the Frostbolt Vortex thing. Who actually uses that mechanic?
Yeah, but that's shit. I think like Essence Drain would be a better example, or maybe Cremation, where it sort of works. But then I don't know if it's
Oh, dude,
particularly fun.
Can I just say the thing? Why the fuck is Cremation a corpse skill?
Yeah.
Like, I love Cremation. I've played so many Cremation builds this league. It genuinely feels really good, but nothing about it, like, the name doesn't make sense with corpses. The visual doesn't make sense with corpses. It's not even fun to use with fucking corpses.
Rename it to Volcano and we have a nice
Yes!
Exactly, 100%.
Dude, it covers like the whole screen. Have you guys scaled that with AoE? The
It's
little
so
balls
good.
cover like
So
half of the
good.
screen.
If you go full AoE Herald of Ash Elementalist Cremation, it just fucking clears. The problem is like Desecrate cooldown. You get cucked. Like, you clear too fast. And it's like, I started this league dicking around with trappers, and then they're like, oh, we're fixing trappers. I'm like, okay, cool, my job's done, I don't have to play this anymore. Let's play some Cremation builds. And then somehow I'm like back to being cock-blocked by cooldown. I'm like, for fuck's sake. Remove the course aspect of that skill, please.
Yeah, I can see that. But then it'd have to get a nerf, no? It's
Yeah.
already so powerful. I mean, it does serve like... It does serve a purpose right now. People don't use it for clearing, but it does great for single target, so... If you do change it, then you kind of have to nerf that for those people.
The
which would kinda
problem
suck.
there though is that Volatile did already use this good single target and clear.
Yeah. Also, just because chat's calling me an idiot for not knowing English, Cremation is burning corpses, you noob. The name doesn't match up with the visual of the ability, you dumb cunts. That's what I'm saying. The name doesn't make sense with the skill. This is kind of what happened, right? Someone at GGG made this really cool skill called Cremation. While this was going on, they were reworking the Detonate skills. They went, hey, Gary, you know that really cool skill you made, yeah? do you mind if we just make it shittier by giving it a dumb name and, you know, making it a corpse skill? And he was like, could you not? I was like, no, it'd be great. We'll call it cremation. He's like, oh, so has it got like a birdy, like steamy effect? No, it still looks like a volcano. So it's volcano, but we're calling it cremation.
Well, yeah.
You're
Back
being super
before-
insensitive. Sorry, Waggle, go.
Back before humanity discovered fire, they actually cremated their relatives in volcanoes.
I was gonna say that's a regular practice in Poland, and you're being a very insensitive little prick right now, because that's exactly what we do. We toss our dead people down a volcano, and then we climb another mountain and set their ashes there. So I don't know, TOS boys, let's go.
Feels good.
So, got distracted by chat.
Mm,
So, yeah.
right.
In this sense of like reworking EE and stuff, do you think Dietus Axe also needs looking at? Because that's pretty cheesy. The fact that if you're playing like
It's pretty broken.
Yeah.
it's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
It shouldn't stack.
You take a full support character that's like fully spec'd into curses and or auras, and they plan all their gear around it, and they, you know, might reach that type of power level to buff someone else's damage, or then you just throw two of those on one character, and it's the same
Or
thing.
an Animate Guardian.
Or that, yeah, even better.
My SSF Animate Guardian died this league. It was so sad. Because it was like, when I was playing my shitty Scorch Ray build, the amount of boss damage was insane. Like, when that guy taps and you just gain the 200% more damage, it's amazing. And then he died, and I didn't even notice him dying. It was like, I was then like 8 maps later, like, hang on, where's my Guardian, bro? Went to summon, like, he died at some point. I don't know when. Rip, never mind.
Problem is that they stack really badly. Like when me and Basso were playing together, he had an anime guardian, he was dual wielding Dietuses, and I had an anime guardian with double Dietuses. And like Shaper was like, shwoop.
Well, I was thought of Ignite.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's
no,
what
go
I
ahead.
was. Yeah, I was gonna say. What are we talking about?
Well, Dietus, like, they make sense with Ignite because, you know, Ignite does burning damage, so...
Do you guys think that's broken? Do you guys think that's definitely gonna need a change? It does make a lot of builds kind of viable right now. Like even
Yeah,
if you
but,
just
like-
use it, you just equip it. It's got like 15 attack speed or something, and then you just equip it. You've got 100% more burning damage. I mean,
That to me seems way more broken than like EE is broken, but this is just like you either have like a weapon swap, which is kind of cheesy, or you have this really like annoying AI thing which sometimes does what you want it to do, and then if it dies, you then need to go back to trade, buy all the items again for like 1 alc. So it doesn't really cost you anything. It's just a mild inconvenience. Then in SSF, it's like I've just got to wait for more of these to drop them. So it just I don't think it feels
I
particularly
mean, like
good.
just in general, just like no, okay, no cheesy way, no weapon swapping. You just use it. Like in the light of the upcoming changes to Ignite, an item that gives you 100% more Ignite.
No, that's obviously
and has
too
attack
too
speed.
powerful. Like yeah, no.
You just equip it,
Yeah.
right? I
It's-
wonder if they're gonna actually address that based off of this, because I mean, I don't think that item's been changed for a while. It's been like this forever, right?
I think it's always been like that. I'm not sure. You'd have to check on the wiki.
You would imagine that in the, because it's been around the game forever, but then
They might have like upped the numbers, but I think
Yeah.
the mechanics have been there.
because that sounds pretty crazy, even like a year and a half ago. Then again, you had so much damage they would just equip a bright beacon. Who the fuck needs? Only
According
15
to
attack speed?
Dan, it got buffed from 40% to 100%. So at some point they realized it wasn't strong enough and thought let's just whack it up a little bit.
And that's the thing, though. I think even at 40%, it was more strong enough. Just people didn't realize and were using it.
Oh, this happened in 2.6 actually.
Oh, that's really recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that was probably like a gut reaction. So it's like, okay, we've killed double dipping, so then let's give them this to like try and make up for it. And then burning specters became a thing, and they were like, ooh, maybe that wasn't our best idea.
Golden hours, by the way.
So what do you guys think about the? Is it time for a freeze rework? Because I personally don't have that strong of an opinion, but I've seen a lot of concerns about freeze. You guys actually think of freeze needs a rework?
I
Why
think
would
freeze-
you freeze?
I think freeze is the best thing in the game right now. It is a 200% more multiplier to my enjoyment of the game when things shutter.
Well, Okay. Havoc?
Well, I agree with that. I don't think it's broken. Can you really freeze bosses?
No, not like rework as in freeze is too strong, and like rework as in make it less shit. Because you currently only like you shatter corpses, and then some builds can kind of freeze bosses, but then the age-old question of why freeze something if you can kill it.
Isn't it kind of like
But
you're
you shouldn't
supposed
be able to freeze
trash?
bosses. Yeah, you're
Chill
supposed to
bosses?
freeze. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. If you can just freeze the boss, that's why they nerfed freeze mine back in the day. Because you didn't fight any of the mechanics. That's why they have phased bosses now, because they want people instant killing the boss in like 1 second. They want you to actually do something against the boss.
Okay, so overall, freeze
No
is
rework.
still alright? Okay.
I think it's
Fine
good
how
for
it is, I would say.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it'd be much more interesting to see more code skills. GG is kind of obsessed with fire. I don't know why, but I mean, for example, Scorchmake could have been a cold or lightning skill, but they decided to make another fire skill. And
It's all
yeah, I mean, what
those
about like a
mechanic
proper?
themes for the mid-range stationary totem maps or characters, whatever it was.
I don't know. I feel like they could do something kind of interesting to, like, you know how Taron Shiver gives you, like, the bonus damage against frozen targets? I feel like they could do something like that to freeze. Just because, like, so like, I just saw the thing of chat as, like, lol, freezing the whole map, that sounds really balanced. It's like, yeah, but then you press KB once and you killed the entire map. So, like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, in old school PoE, freeze, yeah, I agree, used to be broken as hell. Because you just, like, perma-freeze everything and just, like, face roll it. But in current PoE is like, yeah, you can freeze mobs and it's kind of nice, or you can just one-shot them. And then it's not like you're going to be like perm-freezing Uber Elder. Like, we're not talking about like, oh, we want you to be able to like perm-freeze the hardest content in the game. So it just kind of feels like a bit of an odd-ish mechanic in the current state where it's like, we have this because porcupines are annoying. And, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it kind of makes sense in that way, but yeah, I mean, if they... I just can't see what they could do with it, really. Because, again, the boss thing comes up, and then I guess you're freezing all the ads, but then rare mobs, maybe making rare mobs immune to it somehow. I don't know. And I just don't see what could be done with it. But people seem to have a lot of opinions about it, so maybe if somebody in the chat has a strong opinion, maybe they could bring it up.
Yeah, that's fair. And, like, finally, how do we feel about the fact that... Do we mind that Elementus is just going to be, like, the premium Ignite Excellency now? Because they have one node, which is, like, 44% more damage, because they get the 24% guaranteed shock with the shock effect, and then the guaranteed 20% more Ignite damage. Like...
See, I don't really like all this, like, class identity stuff at all. I mean, I feel like I'm a big minority here, so obviously it's not that big a deal.
I made a video about that right at the start and got called a fucking retard for having that opinion, so I agree with users.
Like, when I first started playing PoE, my friend was like, you can do, like, a witch wielding swords, and it's, like, totally viable. And while that wasn't necessarily true, that wasn't great, but, like, you could do, like, anything is everything. And I always thought that was kind of the charm of PoE.
Agree with that.
That you can end up finding, like, a really clunky build, like a sword-wielding elementalist. We're moving away from that now, I feel. Where now it's more like, no, you're going poison, you're an assassin. Why would you be anything else? Like, I feel like it's moving more towards that. We're not, like, completely there, but I love the idea of being able to, like, find some weird, obscure build that works really well and has a purpose, but isn't necessarily that, oh, well, that's not what the class identity is for.
I feel like we're moving more towards having less class identity, actually. Because, like you mentioned before, a witch with a sword. You played a witch and a sword back in the day, it was shit. It was incomparable with top builds. You play an Elementalist Reaver now with a sword? That shit's pretty good. So...
I mean, I kind of get where you're coming from, but, like, with the whole Elementus example, that's kind of, like, anything with Herald's clears well. But
Or
it's, like...
Impulsa.
Yeah, or Impulsor. But it's,
Yeah.
like, you know, if you want to play... For example, if you want to play Righteous Fire, there's, like, 50 different ascendancies you can play for Righteous Fire, because that's pretty versatile. But if you want to play Poison and you're not going Assassin, you're kind of doing it wrong. And in 3.3, if you're doing Ignite, not as Elementalist, you're kind of doing it wrong. And you can play Spell Totem builds which aren't Hierophant, and they'll work, and they'll be fine, because they were fine last patch before we had the insane power creep. But it's like, why not just go Hierophant?
Right, especially Hierophant. Like, why on earth? There, I can't think of a single use to do totems or anything else now than Hierophant. To the point where I would love to do like a Scion War Chief or something, but like Hierophant
just named one.
is so good bonuses now.
It's
You literally
one
just
bit.
named a different class to play totems on. I'm so confused.
No, I just said I would like to do that, but it feels stupid.
But Waggle is in this room and he killed Uber Elder solo with that build, right?
With
What, Scion War Chief? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so many nice
You can
bonuses
play
from
I
Hierophant.
mean, spell
Deadeye
totems, though.
totems. Deadeye totems are actually sick as fuck because Tailwind is a multiplier to totem placement
Yeah, I don't
speed.
think attack-based totems gets included in this, but spell totems 100%. You're
Yeah,
almost locked in.
I was saying spell totems. Like, attack-based
Either
totems, I'd
Hierophant.
agree with Waggle.
Or like a
Actually,
Scion
can-
Hierophant, maybe.
For
Yeah, that's
example,
what I'm saying.
Rise of Totems.
I would say everything has gotten to the point where like abilities have become so ridiculous and builds in general are so ridiculous that yeah, you would feel like shit by playing a sword witch. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely agree that class identity is definitely not something we need in Path of Exile. But because builds are by everything being broken, nothing is broken, things just kind of work out. If you want to play with a sword, you can play with everything on the entire ascendancy tree. If you want to play a spell totem or a totem in general, yeah, you can do Deadeye, you can do Hierophant, you can do Inquisitor, you can do Elementalist, you can do Chieftain. Like there's just so many. So I absolutely agree that they shouldn't be moving towards like class identity, but I think that right now you can play anything with anything more than ever in the past without feeling shit. Because I wouldn't be able to name a sword which back in the day that was actually playable, and now I can name multiple, right? So that's basically my thought.
And one, like, I think there are a few, like, good examples of that. Like, I've seen actually quite a few pretty cool occultist summoners and stuff, because they changed how Profane Bloom procs from your minions, and your minions give you the regen now. So if you want to play, like, a full map clear summoner, in quite a few cases, occultist is faster now, and that I think is really cool. So that's, like, one cool way of doing it. And since someone asked you about the whole trap thing, with the trap rework, Sab is going to be pretty shitty unless they rework Sab. Because currently the main reason you play Sab, if it traps anyway, is for the cooldown reduction. But when you remove the cooldowns from everything, then you just play, like, Elementalist because it does more damage. So.
Elementalist.
Well,
for
Saba's
everything.
regen though.
Well, yeah, but then Scion, like,
Sad
so
regen.
Scion is really comparable because Scion has the regen. Like, Wynn's made a really good low life Scion GC miner using Guardian and Sab. And now when you remove the cooldown aspect, why would you ever play Sab over Scion?
How does
Because
Scion
of
get
the
like the
blind aura.
full 20 regen?
Yeah, Scion gets the full regen.
Oh, that's a
I play
lot.
Saba because of the blind aura, and you can wear the blind shield. 30%
That is
spell
good,
damage
but
taken.
Scion does also get the, I think it's like chance to blind, I'm not sure, like 25% or something.
Yeah,
It's not
but
as
Saba
good,
one's
but yeah,
guaranteed.
yeah. King Mongs is really good with the new Sab. Zai was like, he wouldn't stop talking to me about it for like 4 days. It was like, it's so good! It's guaranteed mitigation! Woohoo!
It's actually 25% chance with 30 increased AoE, 6 damage penetration, and the regeneration.
It's good.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's good.
That's like the Scion Saboteur is almost entirely better than the entirety of like Saboteur. That's kind of scary.
Does Scion have the immune to ignite and shock, and the 10% damage reduction if the enemy's blinded?
Yeah, but like, where would you utilize this? You'd have to play like.
Impossible. It's where else? You want the damage reduction.
Sure, I guess I just can't see how like the immunity you just can't get through that through potions because you're basically playing Getcaster anyway. So what kind of potions could you use outside of a Dying Sun that's like even beneficial for the
Rise Oak?
resistances?
I mean, you also need to remember though that I'm sure there's another like Scion option which would give you like 10% MIT or something close to that. Like you're comparing half of a Scion to all of Sab, so yeah. Like Sab is still like good for quite a few things. Like I had Raiz shitting on me on the last podcast for playing Sab, and I'm like, no, Sab's actually like pretty good right now. But I think that Sab will get worse next patch when the cooldown thing is less relevant with the rework.
I
But they
definitely
might
do see them
rework Sab.
changing Sab like
Yeah,
slightly once they
yeah.
remove cooldowns on a lot of traps. Definitely.
Also Elementalist.
It's pretty good right now.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
that was
going
the
to
thing
be.
forever, right? That it was just cooldown recovery. Like you wouldn't touch Saboteur.
Yeah, exactly. Then they'd add a new way to get more of it, then we'd play it and be like, it's still not enough. Sorry, GGG. And they're like, okay, shit, what do we do? Okay, let's add even more. Then we try it again. Oh, still not enough. So now they're just removing it, which is what we've asked for from the beginning.
Unless the new abilities somehow interact with that really well, but yeah,
Yep.
we're never gonna know.
But so going from the Ignite reworks, let's quickly whip out the Bow and Curses rework before I let you guys go crazy talk about Uber Elder. So we'll talk about bow skills first, since that's really gonna be the quickest thing. Do you think the new Rain of Arrows and Blast Rain will see much play with the changes over stuff like Barrage and whatever?
I think like Barrage needs a complete rework. Like the, what was it? It lost 5% more damage. Is that it?
Per arrow, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's very, very minor. Like it's still gonna right now it's completely blasting everything away. I think the Blast Rain rework sounds like maybe interesting. The Rain of Arrows one does not look interesting at all. Like it's just I'm not very interested in the Rain of Arrows thing.
Yeah, Rosen is pretty decent.
Hmm?
Pretty cool. Isn't it kind of like Firestorm or something? But
It looks
attack?
crazy to me.
Rain
Yeah.
of Arrows
I
An
prefer the
AoE
Blast Rain
thing.
one.
But you're holding a bow, you may as well use a projectile skill, because projectile skills.
Yeah.
You want to clear one screen or do you want to clear 3 screens?
Hmm.
Take your pick.
Well, it did look like in those videos that they showcased that Reign of Arrows has a pretty major AoE, so...
I mean, it did look cool, and it did have a pretty big AoE, but then if you had Lightning Arrow or Tornado Shot with Mirage Archer, like,
Yeah.
it just can't compete on that. And
It'll
then...
get played,
Yeah.
just not by people interested in pushing ladder or anything like that.
I mean, it's a cool ability, if anything. The rework, I think, is still needed. And I mean, this is kind of what we were expecting anyway from the skill reworks, I think. It's not like they're gonna make everything, like, super turbo great. But yeah, in the case of bows, obviously, it's hard to compare. Can you guys hear the cat?
No.
Yep.
Also, I'm curious what you think about this Waggle, since we've both played the whole like Herald of Ash, Rain of Arrows stuff in the past. I was a little disappointed that the rework of Rain of Arrows kind of like killed the core identity of Rain of Arrows, which was before was like one really big hit. Now it's like Firestorm but bows.
What do I think about it? I mean, I don't really care about the identity of Rain of Arrows, to be honest. I played the Herald build, and then as soon as they did all the nerfs to like everything about it, I haven't even put any thought into it since then.
Fair enough. But yeah. So can Havoc? Can I get the official consensus? Because I've tried telling people this. Wonders will still do damage with Barrage and 3.3. Yeah. Because I've had people tell me that Wonders won't do anything. Tarke, you've completely destroyed my build with this minuscule nerf.
Yeah, it'll still do damage. It's only 20% less, so 20% less of like 5 mil is still a lot of damage.
Yeah, like we're still gonna see people just running around with KB and Barrage. Like nothing's gonna change from this rework unless there are others.
Also, Wonders don't get that many extra projectiles anyway compared to like a bow character. Bow has up to +2 from a quiver, +1 from a bow at least. If you use something like Death Opus, you can have like +3. What does a Wonder get? Dying Sun, which a
Maybe
bow
Deadeye.
character can have as well, of course. So, Helmet Enchant, and there's not really much else besides Deadeye additional projectiles. So basically, the nerf doesn't really matter all that much for Wonder, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, even if we're talking like actual numbers, then it's like, well, do I deal 800,000 damage or do I deal 700? It's like, well, you're still gonna kill a boss instantly, but like, I don't think that's something to worry about too much for most people.
Yeah, there's also the fact that I tried to make the argument that in some cases Barrage is actually better now because it procs more on hit effects because of the way it's been changed.
Does it attack faster?
Well, like, I don't think the channel time's any different. Like, it should take the exact same amount of time, and it has an extra arrow now because they added an extra arrow by baseline and like reduced the damage of each arrow. So
okay, that makes sense.
yeah, so it seems like a lot better for like anything cheesing life gain on hit or in any way, or stuff which like ramps like Immolate or using the new like combustion thingy or shock or whatever. But yeah,
So,
yeah,
skills. I
both skills
guess,
done. Both skills done.
That's pretty much
Yeah.
it. There's a puncture
Curses.
trap point.
Oh,
What's that
I
about?
missed puncture trap. Puncture trap was like the best thing in the game.
What is that
Wait.
about?
I did the thing
have
where I
a
was holding
question.
caps lock, not shift. My push stop was fucked.
God damn it.
Yeah,
Tarke.
sorry. Yeah, basically I was just saying I missed puncture trap. That was the only reason why puncture trap was on the topics. Just I missed puncture trap.
Okay,
But,
well, you have puncture trap, but you could not put our Overlord lightning trap in there. Come on, that's gonna. I'm playing that like 99%.
oh, lightning trap's gonna
Yeah,
be fucking
same.
insane. Like, yeah, lightning trap's
Yeah.
gonna be OP, dude.
I'm really excited for Voltaxi Lightning Trap. Which why is Voltaxi still 60%?
Voltaxic's terrible. Don't do
I feel
that.
like
But
that's
that's
the
like
new
similar to what I
weekly
wanted to
Reddit
bring up
thread.
earlier. Oh, sorry, Michael, go ahead.
That's the new weekly like Reddit threads is why conversion items not 100% conversion again.
Yeah, why?
So something I wanted to bring up earlier is like when we were talking about Ignite and Poison is GG's balance philosophy. Do you guys like think it's good or not? They just seem to like really hit stuff really hard and just delete it from the game, then bring it back after a couple of weeks. Like
Now they've
Flame
got
Blast
the
for, like 5 years and then they nerfed it for like 3 years and now it's coming back.
they have the League of Legends strategy where you nerf things out of the meta and bring new things back in just to revolve it over and over. And I think they're just more interested about keeping the game different than really keeping it balanced. Because that's how you bring more people back.
I kind of feel like it makes us try new things, right? Because you bring back Ignite to the same power level, but now we're like, huh, why would we play that? We can play KB, for example, projectile skills. Like, I'm kind of wondering maybe this really hard-hitting nerfing strategy or balance philosophy is a good thing. Kind of curious in your guys' opinions.
Yeah, I mean, they have said that as well in the past, that they don't necessarily nerf things because they're overpowered, but because they've been popular for too long. So I do kind of like it because I will always play the most powerful things unless I'm forced out of it.
Would
Yeah,
you agree though that the main like I agree if they do the changes regularly, but it's kind of like they'll let something sit for like a year to 2 years and then kill it for like a year. Like I much prefer the idea of like we'll let something be OP for maybe like 2 leagues, then we'll kill it, then we'll bring it back on like a 6 month cycle. But now it's what it has been for a while is kind of like we'll let this be completely dominant for like well over a year, then just like fucking orbit it and then maybe whatever.
Well, it's kind of dependent on what the thing actually is, no? Because like in the case of, for instance, KB, right? Where KB has been quite dominant for a while, but I feel like only recently really it's been like really brought to light that it's really powerful. Even though it's been really strong for a while and people have been racing with it, but in general the community didn't get it because it's kind of a tough build to put together. Not really. Like if you were to compare it with Ignite, for instance, right? It's kind of tough to put together because with Ignite you just slap items together with
Yeah.
resistances and you kill everything. But with KB, you kind of have to figure out like how do you optimize your survivability alongside everything else. And I think it depends on the complexity of the build because it was the same thing with Vol Fireball and Vol Spark that for the longest time those skills were available and top players were playing it, but the community wasn't so established to play it because they were kind of hard to pull off. And I feel like because of the simplicity of Ignites, that's why it's like constantly back and forth. Where yeah, it's either like the best thing in the game or like the worst thing in the game, and they just rotate it because it is so simple to put together. But I do think KB is on the cutting block, hopefully. Now that wonders are a lot more prevalent.
Yeah, I think the popularity definitely has a lot to do with it. I mean, for KB specifically, I don't remember what league it was, but Gucci and Steel were doing their KB mines. And I think they won that race, and they were just blasting through literally everything. And pretty much everyone that saw it was like, holy shit, KB is insane. And then 2 or 3 leagues go by and nobody's playing it. Nobody actually played it. Everybody saw how crazy it was, and just nobody cared enough to actually use the skill.
Yeah, because it's awkward, right? Mines, and you got to play with a support and all this sort of stuff. It was just weird. And I mean, you wouldn't do it nowadays either, right? Because indoor meta and all this sort of
I
stuff.
think it was
so-
like Vol skill meta back then, as well
Yeah.
as like Fireball, Spark, etc.
Yep. But it was powerful for sure. It just took quite a bit of effort. But with ignites, I mean, I can't imagine how they can make ignite like a complex mechanic to put together unless you actually have to gear for it. Because nowadays it's like people want the ignite to be the way it used to be, where it's just like, yeah, just get some resistance items, cap yourself on that, get like 4k HP, and you're fucking good to map, no problem. People don't really build around it, but like if you're playing KB, it's like you have to get weapon elemental damage. Depending on like if you get jewels, you have to give flat, and you have to calculate this sort of damage to get enough HP, so that you don't have to do something like MOM and whatnot. But people definitely don't want to do this for ignite builds. They just want it how it was in the past, like an opal ring or like fire damage on rings and whatnot. Nah, fuck that shit. Or equipping a Dietas, 100% more, right?
Kind of argue that RF is kind of already like this, right? Like you can
Yeah.
start at self-found, but then you can really invest a lot of currency into the build and just make it absolutely insane. But it takes a
RF
long
was
time to
like
get
that
there.
for a while, and I I felt really bad because before this league started, I told everybody that was looking for like a budget build and they could kill bosses. I was telling everybody play Chieftain RF, play Jug RF. It's really cheap and it's so powerful and all this stuff.
Well, it was cheap
And then Dan and
until
Ziz come around and ruin everything, and the rings that were like the best thing ever for 30 chaos are now hundreds of chaos.
I did nothing. I
Essence
thought
of
having some
Horrors,
dance build was
3x.
nice.
yeah, it was cheap until week 2 when when Ziz started playing it. Like I bought like 20 horrors like in week 1 and crafted like a GG helmet.
I really want to discuss fucking Elder now that we talked about that.
All right, let's jump straight into the other thing. Go, soapbox.
I absolutely hate how like pigeonholed you are for farming the fight. Like for killing it, there's quite a lot of things you can do. Like a lot of streamers have like showed like Nugi and stuff have been doing it with different things. Havoc's been doing it for different things. The problem is that you might as well be like pouring like a water bottle over them. They're sitting there like, oh my god, oh my god, like every 3 seconds, right? It's not farmable with those. Like nobody's getting more than like 2 kills in, and then they're in fucking standard.
Well, I'm not getting more than 2 kills because I don't like take the time to respawn Uber Elder. I just want to like
Right, but
I
do you
want
see my point though? Like your kills
Yeah, I
were
see
like
it.
super monk ass,
well,
whereas
that character
there's-
was like hardly gear. It was like 300k shaper DPS. You
but
know?
it's still the same point. Like it's so pigeonholed into like you need insane regen and you need to like be able to tank the one shots.
Not necessarily. There's a champion playing the same build. He had like just 10 times my damage, had way less regen, and he did the fight in like 2 minutes on hardcore.
I think there's other builds out there. I don't think
There
people
are
are
other
as
builds,
pigeonholed
100%.
as it
Yeah.
seems, but nobody wants at a hardcore. Nobody wants to risk it because it's you can test this new build, but it's going to be expensive because you need to get. If you're not going super tank, you need that really high damage, so it's going to be expensive. Or you play Righteous Fire and you know you're not going to fuck up because it's Righteous Fire.
Well, not even just Righteous Fire. It's just such a pain that you need to be either wearing Chrome's Roots or you need to be Jugged because like fighting that like slow mechanic with a Quicksilver is super awful if you're going to be doing the fight 80 times in a row.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that. I think it's really easy. I did it last night with my cultist with Quicksilver, and I've done it. I did multiple practice runs on different characters. Like Quicksilver is more than enough.
Don't you have
The
a
only time it
party
gets
though when you do
scary
that?
is what?
Don't you have a party when you do that? Like giving
No,
you
I
haste?
soloed it last
Oh, you
night.
soloed it. Okay.
But basically, if you're not in the last 25%, when you're getting slowed, all that happens is either Shaper's balling you, or Shaper's beaming you. And if you have 30 move speed boots and a Quicksilver of Adrenaline, you can dodge it all anyway. But the last 25, if you get like, that's where it does get kind of scary if you can't tank a slam, because you could get slowed and Shaper could slam you, and then if you can't take that, you're dead.
So you think the slow is fine?
I do. I don't think. I mean, maybe they could lower it a little bit, but I don't think the slow immunity is as necessary as people
I think
make
they
it
can
out
nerf
to
it a
be.
bit or change it to a different mechanic. That being said, you can also just use movement skills such as Whirling Blades or Leap Slam. So you're not really forced into Combs Roots or Jug. You do have other options as well.
I would like if I was going to change it, I would want to change to freeze. That opens it up to so many more
But then
things.
you just get permanent immune to it again. Just
You still have to give up something for that though.
Funny
which
side note.
which character doesn't have freeze immunity on a flask though?
Yeah, but then you have to time your flasks.
Well, that's even
We
a
already
bigger
have to do
problem,
that.
though. that we
Yes.
learned doing our party farming, freeze immunity or chill immunity specifically, is you actually kind of need that permanently, because if you get slowed and you get chilled when you're not chill immune, the two slows add together to 100% slow, and you can't move.
Mhm.
You can't move at all. You're
I know
basically
that feeling.
frozen.
I was hoping you would say that.
Speaking as someone who's never done the fight, so the most qualified here to speak, I think that there's a very big difference between what you're kind of talking about, Ziz, and kind of what Waggle's talking about. Like, from everyone I've spoken to who has done it, it's like, if you prepare for it and you play it correctly, you're fine. Which is good. Like, it's meant to be the super scary fight. I think a much bigger issue is what you said, where the fact that it's such a cunt to spawn it in the first place. Like, the fact that you had someone like Mathel, who is usually like the only guy who does bosses, and he didn't do his first Uber Elder till like over a month in, and he's done like the fight twice this entire league. That's far more of an issue to me than the fight itself being really difficult. I think the fight can be super difficult and super challenging. It just shouldn't be stupidly obnoxious to even get into.
Well,
Are we talking about like unlocking it with the
yeah.
Elder? It's a little bit much. I
Like-
think it'll get changed.
Unlocking the 15 is easy, or it's hard as fuck, but actually spawning your brother is super easy. Like, it's
Yeah, once
easier
you
than a normal
unlock it.
elder.
I didn't see how easy. I don't know if anybody here ever did the spawns for the T15, where people started figuring out the like best way to do it was to get as few red maps as possible, and then you just like get all these yellow maps, and it apparently spawns it way faster. But I think they'll do something to either increase the chances even more of getting the high tier, or make it just a little bit easier.
Oh shit, Havoc went digging.
Also, yeah. Like, another thing, like, for example, Dan or Waggle saying that the fight is easy, it's also some of the, like, very best players. Like, I wouldn't say it's easy. I'd say it's pretty hard for most people.
Isn't
Yeah,
it
but that's
supposed to be?
fine though, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah, like Dan and also I tried to invite Dan on this episode, but he didn't want to talk in front of people. Feels bad, man. But yeah, like Dan and Waggle, they're actually good at the game, so I think it's fine that people who are good at the game think the fight isn't that difficult, or that aspect of the fight anyway. I think it's a much bigger issue that, so someone like me who's generally like, I've never really been that interested in bossing in the past. Let's say that I want to do it. It's like, I want to try this fight, but I have to go through this massive, arduous task of just getting the spawn in the first place. That is like the much bigger barrier to entry than get good at the fight. Like, the fight should be get good at the fight.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, if you start balancing it after, like, for example, if Dan wants to fight harder, like Dan wants it to have bullet hell while the other stuff is going on, and I'm all for things being hard, and that, like, yeah, like maybe like it's hard for like the top 1%. But now we're talking about like very few people to the, like, it's less than 10 people are saying that the fight is really easy on especially different things. Like, that's not, now we're starting to talk about the 0.00001%. Like, we're talking about like 5 people or something. That's a little crazy.
I think in general it's also a little bit early to call these sort of things, and because people are still getting familiar with the fights, and like the meta's changing a little bit, at least when it comes to boss fighting. And I mean,
Yeah.
if anything, you've done it like a lot, right, Ziz?
Yeah, like 150 kills maybe.
Yeah, which is probably more than Waggle and Dan combined. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
I think that's definitely if there's like a concern from the other side too, I think definitely should be taken into account. But in general, I do think that we need to give it a little bit more time so that people can just like have an opportunity to figure it out, because it's really been any boss fight in the history of PoE that it's not necessarily just like people clear speed meta getting super out of hand, but also people just improving at the fights and learning the fights. You know, nowadays most people are capable of dealing with the shaper mechanics. But back in the day, the best thing to do was to face tank it, because yeah, you didn't want to. But now that people know how to do that, it's not that complicated of a fight. So maybe it just needs a little bit more time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was gonna bring up Shaper because I think we're in like a kind of unfamiliar spot for a lot of people here, where the last real big boss that got added was Shaper. but it got added during the CI meta where you could get so much ridiculous defense that you kind of could take any build and throw it at a boss because you weren't gonna die. But now that that's gone, it's a lot harder. People are still basically trying to find those builds that can't die, as opposed to the builds that, if you play well, you can do it. You just actually have to play the game, and it's gonna take longer to find those.
I mean, didn't Havoc do it with like people were basically at first people were like, oh, you gotta have like a million regen and you gotta be super tanky, and then Havoc did it with like some really random stuff that wasn't
Like
particularly
300k shaper
The
DPS Blade
Flurry,
3.
yeah.
Yeah, and then like day after I did it, some guy also on Best Very Hardcore does it on like a champion with no
Yeah.
crazy Slayer regen. Does it in like 3 minutes, like 7 minutes faster than me.
Blade
So
Flurry is amazing for it if you just have to have the gear and you have to be, I guess, like you have to kind of be familiar with the fight a little bit, because if you went in completely blind with it, you're probably in trouble.
Right, and I agree with that, but the point I was making that it's very hard to actually farm. Like you're, what I was specifically saying, you're more pigeonholed for farming it. Like when I was watching Havoc's kill, I was like, there's no way he's getting like 5 kills in a row with that.
if I
That was
upgraded my
because
gear,
you
I
went
would.
undergeared.
Super undergeared.
I've
think it's
seen, like,
always
have you
the-
seen any of the clips from the high-end geared Flurry Scions from, I mean, it's from softcore, but they have, 7,500 life or whatever, and they have the defenses to not get one-shot by anything, and they do the phases in, like, less than 20 seconds apiece.
That's pretty
I-
nuts.
I would agree with what this is saying. There's a big difference between being able to just kill a boss once or twice and then being able to farm the boss constantly. And I think in that case, Juggernaut is definitely the winner right now because it
Oh,
just
for sure, Juggernaut.
overall is so good against it. So, yeah, it kind of feel like the slow from either make it completely avoidable, so you don't like more force into Juggernaut, but or make it so that everyone's like forced into a certain slow that it's really hard to avoid. Let's say you get a DJ on a character for 5 seconds that you're slowed a lot, which you for some
Yeah.
reason can't avoid with a Juggernaut, let's say.
Well, I guess what I should have said was, I think, like, I agree that you are kind of pigeonholed into a few builds just because of how hard the fight is, but I don't think it's because of the slow. I think it's because of the rest of the fight.
I
Because
feel like so
anytime
much of
that
the
I've
rest
seen,
is easy to deal with, though.
Okay,
I'd say,
so
I think the slow's the easy part to deal with because you only have to focus on one thing while you're slowed.
just real quick individually, and this is coming from somebody who hasn't had any experience with Uber Elder yet, because yeah, I just didn't go for it. Do you guys think it's good design? Because the way you're talking about it, from the perspective of like actually farming it, for instance, when it comes to Shaper, I mean, technically the fight is designed well, but it's pretty difficult to like actually farm Shaper on hardcore because eventually you just get hit by like an invisible slam or a desynced ball or something like that, and it's pretty much an eventuality, right? So would you guys say that the Uber Elder fight is designed in a better way than that, where you will eventually fail to your own mistakes, or is it going to be something that feels bullshitty?
I think it's pretty balanced. Like the only things that I aren't a big fan of is that the balls can spawn on top of you, but that's you sort of get used to that over time as well. Like you were saying, you learn it more over time. Like they do only spawn in the corner, so if you're not in the corner when it's about to spawn, you're not gonna have it spawn on top of you. I think the one complaint I've seen the most are like that the edges sort of trick you into walking.
But they
In
fixed that a bit. It's a
Right,
lot
I
but
died to that the other day.
I
I felt
actually
like
like
such an
that.
idiot.
I think it's really good design. I think the only thing I think is complete bullshit in the fight, which I haven't really noticed, but I've now realized I can die to it, is that you can actually highlight Zana and then accidentally like she'll like pull you towards her even though if your cursor isn't there. So
Oh,
basically the way
really?
you would I didn't notice until literally 3 kills ago. I was like because I almost died to it. So basically if your cursor's over Zana and you click and start moving, you'll just start walking straight into Zana into the wall. That's like the only bullshit thing.
Yeah, I think the fight itself is really fair, and that when they first before they fixed the arena a little bit, where the invisible wall kind of thing went really far out, I thought that was pretty BS stuff, just because it was so misleading. And now it's a lot better. It's still a little bit, but it's fine. But the fight's fine. There's some lag issues, but
Yeah.
can't really call that part of the fight balance.
Well, I don't know. It's really weird. Every like 10 seconds where I start to fight, sometimes I'll have like a half a second freeze frame and stuff, and I'm like, only happens there. So that's a little weird.
Out of interest, how do you feel about the like on death loot explosion thing? Like, why is that even there?
Oh,
Like,
so good.
what?
Content, homie. Oh, dude, it's so hilarious.
And
Until you
Wilbugs
die
mode,
to it
it's even
yourself,
better.
and you're just like, why?
Yeah, I
It's
take
so
it you
fun,
haven't
though.
died to it yet, Ziz.
Like imagine in this flashback races, like you're killing Elder for some reason because you have to reset and do your ring or something, and then you die to a bug.
I know. It's just so funny.
I've
I will
I've
laugh at
seen
you when
some
that happens,
fucking
and I
good
hope it
ones.
does
Like
now.
the Zana running
take it
away
it did
one is
happen to
good,
Havoc.
but like
It
some of
hasn't.
like the double explosion ones and like the super BM or the explosion never happens, so you can't get the loot and like.
My fucking favorite was when Xana runs away. That's like
Yes.
Oh my god.
I could not stop laughing.
that was the good one. Like nope.
I feel like if they want to introduce such a mechanic, they have to be 100% sure that it really works out all the time. Because otherwise, I mean, Xana running away, probably not showing up, so many things that can go wrong if you put something in with something that kills you anyway. So, please, GT, make it right.
I think it works fine and it's like a cool effect if it does percentage damage. Like if I was designing that and I really wanted this cool thing where like, okay, like symbolically make the player move inside the bubble, at least like knock him down to like 10% life or something. Don't do like 26,000 damage or whatever it is.
99%
Killed by
damage.
the ads.
That's why I said 10%, because if it was one hit, then yeah, you would be killed.
99%, and then you die to your own blood rage.
Yep. It's like,
That's one thing I'm kind of curious on your opinion on. So, like the only Elder I've really done has been like manipulating the Atlas. Like I haven't made a point of like chain farming or anything, but it seems like a fight which you say it's kind of fair, but a lot of the telegraphs are really like unintuitive for like a first person, like the first time you ever do it. So like the first time I ever did Shaper, I knew exactly what killed me every time. It was like, okay, this is super easy. I killed it no problem my first time round. But like you died to this a few times as well, Ziz. Like the 3 explosion thing. Like there is no like when you first do that, you're like, what the fuck is this? And you're like,
Yep.
oh, I'm dead.
I logged out
Okay,
first when I
cool.
saw that, I was like, what's going on? Am I
Yeah.
about to die? And then after a couple of calls, I was like, oh, I just go into the corner.
Yeah.
This is so easy.
That's the thing, I agree. It's very unintuitive that there's gonna be a safe space in the bottom right. Because I was thinking like, okay, so I just gotta dance between these holes in the middle here then. That was my first thought, because that's the most
Same.
intuitive thing, I would say. Where you just run from the middle to the middle and then they all explode at the same time, and I'm like, I'm not that fast.
That's probably why they made the arena that way, that you have those like outer corners where you can run. So guess it's fine with that kind of explosion. One thing though I don't really like about the Uber fight is the degen. I mean, partially because it does a lot of damage by Pathfinder, but the bigger problem is that I think it's kind of hard to see with so much stuff going on, and then I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit hard to see, the like grayish color.
I don't, in like the Elder fight, I don't really like the decay. Like I feel like the decay goes off too fast. Where like unless you're doing probably like 800k damage across the screen, like how long? I think it's 4 or 5 seconds from they spawn, they will pop down decay, and you can't see the entire arena. So that's like my main gripe.
Isn't that just difficulty though? It's just one more thing for the player to keep track of. Like, do I tunnel
It's
vision
just
on the
like,
boss and DPS, or do I take a second, check my surroundings? Is there a mob in that corner?
yeah, but so many builds struggle with doing that. I prefer the Shaper Balls because that's something that spawns, and you can like kite them around. I like that mechanic, but I don't like the fact that like something could spawn in the top right corner, and you might like that. Especially like the first times you're doing it, that's very hard to keep track of.
Yeah, it's the balance though. Like, do you attack the boss, or do you look for that stuff, or do you make your build have the ability to tank that stuff?
I'm pretty sure you can see like the ads as soon as they won't, drop it until they aggro, and you have to like really be paying attention, but they do attack you before they drop it pretty much always. So if you actually see it's such a tiny
Like
projectile, and there's
on
so
my
much
low
going
life
on.
Righteous Fire though, I couldn't even like kill them in time. Like because they're pretty tanky.
That's what I'm
Get more
struggling with for
damage.
my RF Pathfinder at the moment. Like, for example, if the Degen doesn't exist in that ADA fight, I could completely face tank the whole fight on Rage's Fire Pathfinder. It's just that
I
the
think
Degen hurts like a truck.
I think the point stands if one of the people who has done it with multiple characters says, "I think you can see it." I think the
Yeah.
point of visibility stands. There's some issues with there.
Like, they shoot some projectiles at you. They're like really thin lightning bolt. But I think they could be a bit bigger. For example,
mean, they
during
could
the
just-
normal ADA fight, some of those squids that fire really big blasts at you, or like at Shaper and the minion phase.
Yeah.
If it would be bigger like that would be a lot more manageable, I think.
Just
If
add a
they're-
sound effect when they spawn.
Yeah, I was
Done.
about to say
Easy.
that. If they're gonna spawn in the corners, give them a sound effect or something.
I think that's like a big thing with GGG in general, is you can kind of tell, especially with that fight, on the one hand, they want to make something really cool and really secretive, and then on the other hand, something which is like a good, fair user experience. And so much of the Elder fight, like, the explosion at the end is the ultimate epitome of that. Is like, let's just put it in to fuck with them. It'll be kind of cool the first time someone dies that, right? And that's just like, I don't think that's good game design. That's kind of like one of those things, like, if you made a game to fuck with your mate, like, that's what you do. And a lot of the Elder fight kind of feels like that. It's like, let's not make like a good fight. Let's just like fuck with some people and have some like random mechanics, random like wall design and stuff. And it's like, you could just telegraph shit better. And then if you die, you know it's your fail.
I think it is a really good fight. I think they're like, even if I had like the possibility to change things, there are like very minor things I would change. I would probably take the decay spawning from 5 to 8 seconds and make the slow mitigatable by freeze immunity. It's the only thing I would change. Other than that, I think it's a really well made fight. I really like it.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Oh.
necessarily a bad thing that you aren't gonna know exactly what's happening your first time through. That it's not like so obvious. Shaper Elder's not gonna yell out that he's doing the tentacle attack at you. You kind of just gotta react to it the first time, and then you start. Because all the attacks do have very obvious cues, and you once you learn it, you know exactly what to do. But like you said, Shaper's almost the exact opposite, because everything he does is just so. He's letting you know what he's doing before he does it, even if you've never seen the fight before.
Yeah, I think that's what I kind of like about it, because it's like, so I, like, the only two, like, genres I really play are, like, ARPGs and MMOs, and, like, so, like, with raiding and stuff, I kind of like you go in, it's telegraphed, and if you, like, wipe in a raid, it's like, oh, well, who gives a shit, whereas in hardcore, it's like, if you wipe, it's like, oh, shit, I lost everything, so that's why I really like the way that Shaper's designed, because it's the fact that everything is telegraphed, and you can go in there almost blind, and it's like, oh, shit, what's about to happen, and there's, like, cues to it, whereas with Elder, there's a lot of, like, you go in blind, you kind of have to accept you're just going to die on the first run, and then you learn after a couple of runs like Ziz did, or like I did with the like explosion thing, oh, this is where I stand, oh, this is how this works, oh, I don't pick up the loot until after the explosion, you know.
I mean, isn't that kind of the case with Atsui Trio, for example? Like when you go first time into Atsui Trio, you get that rain on your over your character, you're just dead.
Yeah.
Just fall over.
Maybe you just need to get used to it. I mean, you're literally blind in the Shaper fight a lot of the times if you don't do it fast enough. If he's like beaming and there's another one throwing in balls that are invisible and going through the beam at you and stuff like that. I don't feel that's particularly intuitive, but I guess you can make it as something that if you do have those two guys up, you focus on dodging rather than trying to kill Shaper or something. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, like, lagged out invisible shit, yeah, I'm not like, that's the pinnacle of game design, it's perfect, but like, when
but
the,
I mean, on top, not lagged out, but just like the fact that the balls are invisible inside of the laser beam, like, I don't feel like that's particularly great.
I died to that, so I definitely agree.
Haven't died to that yet. I did die to invisible slam though. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and hang on, chat's corrected me. Isn't the Elder not announcing things a lore thing, since he doesn't talk, but injects thoughts into your mind? Well, in that case, yeah, we don't want to go against the very rich game lore of Path of Exile.
Also, we don't want to offend deaf people. That's why he talks to your mind instead of saying things out loud. Otherwise, TOS. So, I guess that adds up.
Since you are here though, Waggle, I did really want to talk about curses, and you can kind of talk a little bit about like how relevant you think it is in bossing, since they've said they don't want to rework that. What do you think about the current state of curses? Because I do think that the community seriously overreacts to how bad they are. I think they're very strong.
Yeah,
Sure.
they're good. The still for sure for bot like a character with no curse investment. I think if you run like elemental weakness against Shaper, a lot of the time it's like still it's like a 7, 8, 9% damage increase, and it's not like it's costing you much. You literally curse on hit it or you self cast it every 15 seconds. But like, I think what people want is like they're mad that they can't make a character that's literally 6 curses and their whole build is curses, and then they go to fight Shaper and they just lose everything. It's just those builds aren't really meant to do that right now anyway. I think it'll be interesting if they do buff it though, because there are some pretty crazy things you could do with stronger curses against bosses.
Isn't
How
the
would you do the rework though, out of interest?
I don't know. It's a hard thing to tackle. Like people, there was the whole talk about it in the announcement thread, and people are like, it was the most upvoted comment. People, some guy saying add curse pen, and make it so it's a additive difference. So if they have 80 curse resistance and you have 10 curse pen, they have 70 curse resistance. But that's literally how curses worked before they nerfed
Yeah.
it, because that shit was too OP when it worked that way. So it's I don't think it's an easy solution, but I don't know what the best way to do it is, because if you make curses strong, then like just enfeeble alone is such a problem for bosses. I think that's the one that they're scared of.
Wait, so
isn't
do you even? Sorry, go Shinrha.
isn't Enfeeble and Chain pretty much the only problem when it comes to
Yeah.
curses against bosses? Like they
Them
can,
chains
like
they
maybe they can
solve.
split it out that only Enfeeble and Chain are less effective against bosses, but every other curse still has either better, like much better effectiveness, or their full effectiveness against bosses.
Yeah, I think it's temp change though. They added to a lot of the end game bosses some like I don't know what the number is, but there's like a maximum amount that they can be slowed by.
Hmm.
So like temp chains and chill, there's a cap on it now. So I think temp chains is probably okay, but they would have to like they could maybe do something like that, like specifically enfeeble. I guess has a harder nerf than the damage based curses or something.
Yeah, that's unfair.
Okay, so my question, I guess, is it warranted in your opinion, Waggle?
Is what warranted the
The
nerfs or the
changes
need
in
for the
general,
buffs.
the changes, the rework, what they announced.
I
Like
think it probably is a little bit, but like it still it goes both ways. Because I do think DPS curses could use a little bit of a boost for bossing for like builds that are trying to spec into like especially dual curse builds. If that somebody wants to do dual curse with LE weakness and flammability for their fire build, and then on trash mobs it's like even a map boss, you're doubling your damage from your curses, and then you go to Shaper, and it's like, oh well, now it's a 20% increase. There goes, you know, a third of my DPS.
Isn't that a lot of the issue with pen though? And like we're seeing it even now with the new combustion gem. Like we have so many sources of penetration now, and I feel like that's a big thing as well, which kind of makes a lot of curses feel a bit iffy.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Combustion, I think, if you don't have any curse effectiveness, I think that 19% reduction is about as strong as LE weakness plus flammability combined on an endgame boss, and that's one support gem that you can put literally anywhere.
So yeah, but then it's not particularly intuitive, would it be? Because like then you basically would have to make different curse effectiveness depending on what you're fighting specifically. So it's pretty unintuitive because you wouldn't know that Shaper has this sort of mitigation,
Well, I
and then
think
the
what they
map
could
boss
do,
has this.
if they did it somewhere that way, maybe they bring back the old way it works, the curse penetration, whatever people want to call it, where curse effectiveness does subtract out their resistance, and then just give Enfeeble a tag that says like 30% reduced effect against bosses or unique monsters or something.
Oh, and one thing, and I've been saying this for a while. Why the fuck are totems still immune to curses? That annoys the fuck out of me.
You remember when
Thematic reasons.
totems were immune to degens? of any sort.
Yeah,
Okay.
have fun playing like
Oh,
Righteous
so much
Fire.
fun.
It makes sense though.
How does it make sense?
Okay, so imagine, right? Some crazy witch lady is casting a curse on Raiz, right? She like plucks some of his hair out
Every day,
and starts
dude.
cursing him.
Every day.
Right? Then he gets cursed, right? That makes sense. But like if you're like cursing this water bottle, what? Why? What?
But you can curse a statue.
Somebody's gonna drink it, dude.
No, that's
Whoever
she's like
can.
animated. It's got a soul, dude. That thing, that's different.
Oh, it does it have a soul? Well, when you go to Haku missions, what is it you're picking up off the totems, bitch? Picking off the souls of the ancestors. Suck a dick. Fuck off out
Yeah,
of
but
here.
that's not the totem.
What do you
Oh my
mean it's
God.
not the Fuck off. Go away. No, go away.
We're gonna have an abortion debate in a second, because we relax. It does make sense. It does give souls to the vault skills, so I don't know. Inconsistencies.
I mean, and why do you need a soul to be cast? Like, I mean,
Why do you
just
need a
there.
soul in general?
I think
You
it's
can
one of those things they probably just like forgot that was even in the game. It's like, you know, when you had your interview with Chris's and you're like, why can't you shield charge with a wand? He's like, huh? Oh, I guess I'll ask. I imagine if you'd asked him like, hey Chris, like, why can't I cast a totem? He'd be like, yeah, I don't know. Let me ask someone, homie.
That would be actually the funniest thing. I would love that. Yeah, people aren't asking the hard-hitting questions. I think. Didn't you have Chris Wilson on Ziz? You missed out, man,
Missed out on what?
on asking that question.
Oh, I asked several good questions. There were so many good ones.
I mean, clearly not enough good questions, Ziz.
I
We're having to
don't
have this
curses on
conversation.
totems.
Ziz. We have to have this conversation right now because you dropped the ball with your poor
I
reporting.
don't give it like the list of people that gives a shit about curses on totems. Tarke cat.
And it's gonna be changed in next patch.
Dude, that'd be so good. That'd be so good. I'll just copy paste whisper those patch notes to Ziz every day. Who cares now, bitch? You got changed.
I still wouldn't care.
I really want them to make casters like the new OP and the next like big scary boss as a totem, and then you try and farm it, and we'll see who's complaining then. You know.
Yeah, the next Uber out there is gonna be Uber Kuduku, and then you're screwed.
Do you know why curses can't be cursed? Why totems can't be cursed? Because they couldn't figure out, they couldn't be fucked giving us a way to get curse immunity on our totems.
It probably is something really stupid like that, to be honest.
I mean, that would make more sense, to be honest, to me.
I want Uber Kuduku now. Drop 6 links all the time.
It's a guaranteed 6 link. I mean, shit, back in the day, everybody only had 4 links. You want your old build of the week videos. People don't even have 5 links. Chat's laughing. That's the future, man. Everybody's gonna have a 6 link now from Kuduku.
I like to think it was at the point where I started talking about casting totems that Havoc just walked away. You know.
He's actually not here.
Wait, what? Hello?
I
I was on Reddit, sorry.
You're broke, and you should have just stayed quiet. Damn it.
Alright then, since I'm aware that Ziz has a very important dinner reservation in the next 30 minutes, are there any other pressing topics that anyone would like to mention?
Avian twins.
Go Shinrha. I know you've been waiting to say this all day.
Yeah, basically, Shaper boards have code penetration, and if you convert that damage, that code damage, into something else, like let's say fire or lightning damage, you avoid the penetration from Shaper's boards. I know that sounds nice. And yeah, it's really good when you fight Shaper or Uber Ada, and I think more people should use Avian Twins there. It's a tier 2 talisman, so especially if it shines even more, like let's say when you are closer to 100% resistances. For example, in which is why Barfinder, I take like 1.3k damage per Shaper ball, so you can just stand them there and tank them all day. Or even crazy, I saw a great whiff with 100% of code damage taken as fire. Then you don't take damage at all from the Shaper boards.
I actually have no idea what you're talking about.
Avian Twins is a tier 2 talisman with the implicit of, like, it can be all, like, all variations. Code damage taken as fire, Lightning damage taking as fire, fire damage taking as cold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So-
remember when people did it with Adziri with the lightning taken as fire? It's
Okay.
like that, but
Yeah.
cold.
All right, now the entirety of what you said made a lot more sense because I was like, tier 2 talisman, which one? Like,
Teaching Raiz game mechanics
hey
feels
man, have
good,
to work
man.
that in there.
My
Come
time
on,
to shine,
man.
yeah, oh yeah.
You think I don't know this stuff? Obviously, dog.
Do we got a bingo board for this? Is that the base case?
That's pretty much. You gotta cover all the bases. I mean, I went for it. Why not?
Here's a pretty good idea.
Hmm?
No, the avian thing.
Yeah, you should use it.
not the bingo board.
Fuck the 2.4% life region you get from a Marble Amulet. Like, that life region is not gonna save against Shaper boards. So,
That's cute. Somebody thinks I have 9k hours. Lol.
I just want to like specially thank RaizQT for helping out with price checking items for the entire community. That's very sweet. That's all I wanted to say.
Dude, people are gonna hate me. You know, at the end of this meme, it's just gonna be like, dude, you sent me to Raiz and he was just an absolute douchebag. He didn't even read my comment. At this point, I just ignore it. I mean, it's gotten pretty bad. When it was me and Havoc, it was like pretty simple. You get a person here and there. Like this, it's like, it's too much.
I just say 2 chaos every
You
time.
started. You made a command in your chat. I like to tell people to go to me for price check.
I
Wait, you
haven't
did
made
that,
a-
Rise?
I haven't made a command in my chat since like 1994. Okay, this is
Well, there
not
is one
my
there.
fault.
I'm just retaliating.
Have I really started this? Damn.
Yeah.
I have to admit though, because
Been the
I
right
still
route
get the
with this.
price check questions. Who the fuck are the people asking SSF players what their item is worth in fucking Trade League softcore? Like, dude.
It's pretty painful. The best part is like if you every now and then I'll like buckle down and actually try to genuinely answer. I'm like sitting on that item, I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, okay, well, actually, as a matter of fact, after playing Trade League for like the last month or so, I would like to tell you that this item is worth an approximation of probably about two Exalted Orbs, which is right now about 80 Chaos. You're welcome, dude. And then the guy goes, he thinks Exalted Orbs are 40 Chaos. What an idiot. And then he fucking goes back to his softcore league where they're like 120 or something. I'm just like, fuck it, dude. How could you never tell me that it's on softcore? It's an actual nightmare. And I put in the effort too, you know? I don't wanna
Feels-
just
feels
give you
good,
an
man.
answer.
What price check thing, homie? But apparently Havoc has a challenge for us, so go on, Havoc.
Oh, so yeah. So I'm sure everyone knows that PT is returning this Sunday, so I thought I'd challenge everyone here to the PT challenge to do a single map with no movement skills, no quicksilvers, no onslaught, and no other sources of movement speed or any buffs that increase your clear speed. Just one map.
Hey man, I do that anyway. RaizQT builds. Shit.
Sounds like my Scorching Ray character every map.
It's like, we're actually bad players, Havoc. You're not gonna find your audience here. We
He
play
has
these
his
builds all the
quicksilvers at
time.
least, though. He has his quicksilvers.
Yeah. Although Waggle, I have to say, if you think your Scorching Ray character cleared badly, you should have seen how shit my budget Scorching Ray character cleared in comparison to yours. I was like, oh, Waggle made a really cool character. It clears kind of slow. Let's do that on a 5-link with level 17 gems, half of the gear, and no aspect of the spider. Seems good.
Yeah, you also forgot the part where you have to party with a Righteous Fire build and have him
Yeah.
carry you through all your map.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the Righteous Fire Impulsas builds though? Those are pretty cool.
I
That's
love
a
that.
nice-
Cultist Impulsor, but it's like really sick.
Yeah, I've been doing that with Victor.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I saw on you do that. It's pretty sick.
Looks pretty nice on
Exactly.
Powerpoint as well. For example, it's actually pretty fast if you go Magic Finally. Like, it's not on the same level as like Kinetic Blast or Tornado Shot, but you can get like 90% quantity on a Righteous Fire Pathfinder, Shield Charge through everything of Winged and Impulsor, and yeah, just as fast as your Shield Charge goes.
Especially on like
oh,
more
go.
open, like good more open maps, because people are like, oh, yeah, indoor meta. You know,
I
you
would
run
think you would
a
want the
estuary,
indoor.
and you're good.
At least if you want to compare to like the projectile skills, because if you try to compare to Kinetic Blast or Tornado Shot, especially in an open map, anything that's not shooting off the screen is going to feel so bad. But like Haunted Mansion, equal playing field there.
Well, sure. But if we're talking like sewers, then I don't think anything can compete with like a Queen of the Forest build. If you're using a mobility skill, you're just gonna be running
Yeah.
into walls a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing I do want to say before you finish up, though, is Herald of Ash is fucking sleeper, dude. That shit is so good right now. And you can do, like, budget impulsor, because if you're playing, like, Profane Bloom or, like, Obliteration ones or anything, those will trigger your Herald of Ash explosion. So you get, like, these, like, really cool chain, like, prolif things. And it was particularly cool with, like, this. It was the only thing which made my Scorcher Ray mildly playable. Because of how Scorcher Ray works, like, you sweep left to right. Everything ticks down at the same time. So if one Profane Bloom propped, I'd have massive overkill because everything would be on like 1% life, and then you just got like this chain like burn, and it felt so good. So yeah, Herald of Ash AP, dude.
Agreed.
Right, I'm finished now. Unless anyone has anything they really need to talk about, but I just want to say Herald of Ash, good shit.
No, it's good.
And now I'm gonna ruin everybody's day. Did you guys realize that Bestiary is also going to be part of the flashback race, except it's going to be permanent? Lol.
I really like that.
Yeah, that's.
I
I
like
don't
this
get the
theory too,
people who. I saw a guy like, I am not playing Flashback. I can't believe you've ruined it by enabling Bestiary. It's like, what? You don't like free loot? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I get why Bestiary isn't that popular, because it's a more complicated mechanic. It's like Dark Shrine all over again, like where you have the people who do look into the mechanic who are like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then you have people who just want to like click on a breach and get free loot, or like, oh, this is kind of shit. I want color coding though. Like it makes like, for example, those like these can be used in other recipes. That does nothing right now. It might as well not be there, because every single spider says it can be used in the venomous summoning portal.
You know what gets
Yeah,
really
there's-
bad? Like, at this point, I think if GGG were to just like introduce like an Onslaught style league where they wouldn't introduce any cool mechanics like Bestiary or Breach, whatever, right? Instead, it would be like Onslaught, but instead of having Turbo, it would be like 300% density.
Lamped
league.
times 10. How about that?
Amen.
With density.
Yeah, Blamped would be
Ooh.
fun for like half a day. For
I would
people.
love that. I would love Blamp is more like an event.
The
When I
one
turned
good
permanent
thing
hardcore
about
into
Blamp,
Blamp.
sorry to cut you off, would be the amount of dipshits on Reddit killing themselves going CI in the Blamp race. Like, what the fuck is this hideout bug, man? I transitioned and instantly died. Like, what?
Do you even kill yourself with blood magic anymore? I think can you kill yourself with blood magic? I don't think so. Maybe.
No, but you wouldn't be able to use any skills.
Yeah, you won't be able to use skills. Okay.
Yeah, if you go Berserker, right? Then you DJ.
I mean, let's be real. If you tried to path to CI in a Blamp race, you would die before you made it there.
It's true. Getting through Brutus and a Blamp. Damn, people don't even know what we're talking about. It's like, hey guys, Blamp. It's like the last time there was a Blamp was like 6 years ago. Those people don't even know. Anyone know? Tarke, finish it off.
Muted.
So, anyone watched any good podcast recently? But, yeah, is anyone streaming after this? If so, I'll throw the host over. If not, we can all wave and then go and just chill.
I mean, we can wave, say, bye everybody, thanks for watching.
Can you not hear us?
Sorry for the awkward outro. And now we can ask whether or not.
Actually, you know what, Raiz? Before that, Shinrha, where can people find you?
Oh,
Twitch.tv/Shinrha. Don't forget the second H, and same thing with YouTube. Yeah, you might have seen some of my videos of like tons of projectiles and totems, and yeah, that's about it.
and making signs out of things, right? That was you too.
Fun fact,
Yeah.
me and Shinrha tried to plan out using his like playlist of stupid like a million projectile builds, but I couldn't actually have it as background because it would lag out the podcast. Feels good, man. It would just like tank the FPS of the entire thing because it's just too much screen clutter.
Seems good.
And what about you, Waggle?
I think you can find me at twitch.tv/Waggle. I've been playing some Fortnite recently. I'm gonna become the next ninja, I think. Get out of this PoE game while I still can. But I'm just waiting for the flashback so I can leave after 3 days and disappoint everybody.
So the classic Waggle.
And Mr. Havoc, where can people find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/PCChild.
I wanted to try and fit one PC Child reference in this time. I think you should swap back to PC Child, to be honest.
I don't.
I think PC Child will be better at this point.
You know how
honestly.
awkward it is for someone to say, like, if you want to like tell someone about someone's stream, it's like, hey, watch this guy like Raiz, Tarke, Zizaran. That's fine. Hey, you want to watch this guy called PC Child? That's just fucking funky.
I think it works good, man. It has an audience, I'm sure.
I'm
Wrong
sure
one.
there's lots of people on the internet who'd be interested in PC Childs. I'm sure.
Or change it to Zizaran. That would be even better.
Yo, man.
Tarke's
guys,
been
how's it
watching too
going?
much Destiny. He just leaves it hanging like that. Alright.
Okay, so now we wave.
Wait, what the fuck?
Oh, Havoc! Wait, no, Ziz,
Hello?
BC Child. Yeah, where can I find you? Sorry.
Twitch.tv, Zizaran. Online every day.
And Mr. RaizQT, where can people find you?
I don't want anybody to find me after this fucking podcast. Jesus Christ.
Okay, now we wave. Okay, so now we'll end it here. Now is anyone streaming after this?